All right, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is being raised. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated.
It's small, but it's volatile. Yeah. It's just so far away.
I do need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. On that note, we will move into negotiations.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here tonight and for meeting us up north. It's always nice to get out and see other parts of the district, especially for you guys that this is home court. So anyway, we're glad to be here. Like the last couple of meetings, I personally don't see the need to go through the rules or norms again. I feel like we have enough for a full agenda tonight as it is, and so if everybody's agreeable, I'll just skip over that again tonight. Thumbs up, I like it, nice. See, we don't need a refresher, everybody's good to go. I do want to turn things over to the board and the L.E.A. here on where you want to get started. We left off with a couple of things kind of on the burner. We were talking about dual credit. We had brought up, but not really gotten too far into the coaches and extracurricular salary conversation. And then we know that the L.E.A. still has proposed language for the negotiated agreement for the union bill that was passed that goes into effect July 1st. So in addition to those things, the district office would like to bring up one additional point, and that is how we deal with the master's stipend on the salary schedule. So with that, I'll turn things over. Where you guys want to get started?
Do you want to offer clarification on your master's stipend for the salary schedule?
Absolutely. Oh, and the bachelor's. Thank you, Jess. We would like to propose that instead of waiting until cell 4, which is the first step of the professional run, right now that's when we start to pay out those 2 stipends. We would like to pay them out starting on cell 1. So if we have a teacher that comes in and they're still on their residency years, but they have a master's degree, they would earn that master's stipend. That will really help us with our recruiting. And from our standpoint, seems logical because a lot of the teachers that we hire actually get their certification via their master's degree.
That's been a problem too.
Well,
Hiring people that have a master's and then they don't get any money for it.
last year was the first year that this was implemented, and it didn't go well. So that's why we'd like to reinstate it.
So we feel like it's pretty straightforward.
I think
Certainly
that,
up for
yeah,
discussion.
I think it's a win-win. The only drawback is the state doesn't reimburse you for that in year 1.
Right.
The first 2 years.
And,
Until the professional endorsement kicks in.
right. But definitely helps the teachers that have earned it, and it'll help for recruiting processes, knowing that they're gonna get at least something for their masters.
We had a couple of new recruits last year, great teachers that had their masters, and it was almost a deal breaker.
So where's language that addresses that in the negotiated agreement?
I think it's just on the salary schedule.
Yeah, there is, and it just says that if,
It's literally the fine print on our salary schedule right now. Next to those cells that list out the stipend amounts, it says that a person must be in the professional columns or higher to be able to qualify. So we would propose just removing that language.
Okay, I'm looking at draft 4. That was what was voted on at the last meeting. And there's no...
yeah, I don't think any of that verbiage is on there. at
There's
the end
nothing
of
on there, other
current.
than on the bottom, it says BA plus 24, 1900, MA 3200.
So it was removed from that because that was our recommendation, but it never formally was talked about. So it was just making sure that we were all in agreement.
But it was in this past year's,
Yes.
this past school year's
Mhm.
on that salary schedule.
If you look at the website, it's on the one that's on the website.
Okay.
Do we have an idea to know how many teachers that's going to affect, or how many people?
Yeah, that was going to be my
Well,
I
next
can tell you.
question of,
You want-
like, how many people have been hired in the last year? If it was almost a deal breaker, those people would be then allowed that, not just new people coming in, but anybody that came in last year.
And I haven't looked at everybody's, we haven't done credit reviews on our new hires for this year yet. So I don't know for 26, 27, how many that would, but just, I think is pulling up the number for 25, 26 to remedy.
I wouldn't think it'd be very many.
It's not, I know it's less than 5. Sorry.
I saw a license plate with that on it.
No way. 10-year-old middle schoolers, 12-year-olds on weekend. Stop. That's so much.
Then if we adopted what was presented and now we want to change it, that's allowed? Is that correct?
With the thumbs up, I think everyone would have to, because it's the same salary schedule.
I don't know why it says final, I don't even have it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm just asking for clarification, because like last time we met,
That's the agenda.
because everyone was kind of like not digging the thought of what received 2 thumbs up, I threw out something else, and I felt like you got a little upset that I was throwing out another idea when you had gone back and talked to your people and that you thought that this was what we were going to go forward with. And I think that's just from different perspectives. I mean, you have expressed that this is IBB, and from my background and knowledge, this is negotiations. And so from where I sit, it's not over till it's over. But with as upset as I perceived you to become, you know, I didn't push and I didn't make it an issue. I just, if we're now going back to revisit, because I've gotten emails. I don't know about the rest of the trustees, but I've gotten emails from teachers that were appreciative of like, hey, thanks for even 0.5%. I mean, that would be dynamic. And they don't agree with having to be frozen without even some compensation. But, so now if we're going back to talk about the adding new language for the BA 24 and the MA, which there's no language on any of these documents, not apparently in the negotiated agreement or here, I do think we need to figure out, are we just adding language specific to that? Or is that now being adopted onto the salary schedule that we've already done? Wait, how are you proceeding with this?
I perceived last week as the prior week before that, I was under the impression that that was the proposal that I was going out to my members with to see, because it was proposed that we would do that. And then I thought the discussion was that if we all came together, and if we're okay with it here, I wasn't comfortable going back to the members yet until I got to see their response. And so that's what, so then the reason last week why I felt like I put a stop to it or got angry, because I felt like we were looking to reconstruct everything in that proposal that we had already been given to go research. And so that's where I'm like, well, wait a second, wasn't that the proposal that we were talking about? So I look at this as a little bit different, because we're not talking about the proposal of the salary schedule, we're talking about the masters and stipend that would be something extra added to it.
You're adding to it, correct?
Right.
Okay.
But are we adding to it if it's?
But I'm
Well, it's
certainly,
at the bottom, there's no clarification.
I don't think you'd have any member
Of when it goes
or
in.
any staff agree to a 0.5% raise if you wanted to propose that.
Well,
But
I
thought
did,
that-
but
I-
it got shot down last week.
But we were also talking about cutting,
Well, removing
taking
cells
stuff out
26
and
through
cutting it.
29.
And that wasn't any part of the package that we went through, so. But you're right, it is IBB. It's negotiations until.
It is negotiations. IBB's a process, so
It's the
that's
pro-
where.
yeah.
I
And so,
guess it
until
just
we
needs a
actually
little-
put a vote, or put a proposal to our members, we can decide.
Well, I guess I
During
just
this
didn't
review.
understand how if only 2 people were giving a thumbs up, then there was no more conversation. It was, well, but if you go to the side, then it's okay. It seemed a little
I think,
counterproductive to
and
me.
please, people, speak up if I'm wrong, but I think the only reason people were going sideways is because no one wants to be frozen. But if that couldn't have gotten any better, then they were going to say, okay, then that's the best we can do. And so, yeah, we're not happy with it, but we're going to agree to it. That was my impression as to why we were sideways on there.
That's why I voted that way.
I don't think, because I think when we went around the table, I don't think there was anyone that says, no, I don't like that proposal. I want to keep working to see if we can come up with something better. I think it was like, yeah, this, excuse my language, but this sucks. But we understand where we're at and that's where we're going to go. That was my understanding.
Okay. It's just different. It's just different.
But you're right. I agree. I mean, if we're all sideways and no one likes it, but is there an offer that could be better, that we could turn that thumbs up? That's kind of where we were going with that conversation.
Okay, but the other offer that I thought, hey, could we consider it? You were like, no.
Because that
this
involved-
is what I went back to my people with.
Right.
And so I respected that and
Yeah.
let it go. But it bothered me, I mean, because I've been getting emails from teachers
Yeah.
and they're like, why? It's like, doing the best I can with what I've got to work with. So I just trying to understand, I guess, your processes
Yeah.
for this negotiations is kind of where I'm stuck. So.
To
So I guess-
clarify, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Thank you, Jess. She was able to find, we have 2 people who would receive the bachelor's stipend and 7 who would receive the master's stipend if we made this change.
Is that just from the hires of last year and
Yes.
this year?
Yeah, we haven't done.
So
haven't
do
done
we have any
credit reviews.
employees that haven't received the stipends that would not be benefiting from this because they weren't hired last year or the year before? Or this year or last year?
Not, I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
No, because we were providing it for the people.
Yeah, I don't think there would be anybody in that
at step
situation.
one
It would just-
prior to that.
It would just apply to those folks who were hired last year.
Mhm, just these things. And then
Okay.
any new ones that we hire this year that have had, we have yet to do credit reviews for all of our new people.
Okay, because
We don't have anybody in
Thought.
R3?
Well, I guess that's a question for kind of the history of how this happened. My assumption would be that if we just started this last year and somebody was already receiving the master's stipend, that we would have continued to pay it and grandfathered them. That's typically what we do. And so I don't believe that there would be anybody in
I
R3
didn't realize.
that would need to be added to the list.
I didn't realize we were giving that to the R3s.
And if I'm mistaken,
Last year.
I
No,
would own that.
we did not give anybody in 25, 26 who were new hires, the masters or the bachelors until they were P1. If they already received it, they were grandfathered prior to 25, 26.
So it's just 9 total people.
well, it's my understanding, the email that we all received that I had Sarah talk to you about from an upset employee, that was one of the situations of contention, was that that person has a master's but has not received the stipend. And I understand you spoke with him, so is that all resolved?
I believe that situation is different enough
Okay,
in circumstance to not apply.
okay,
Um,
if that's, okay.
Sure,
Okay.
okay.
That's why I'm like, do we have other people sitting out there? So,
Yeah, I'm trying to run through the people who that could be, and anybody who, that fits that description that you just said, I don't think would be in this exact same scenario.
okay, okay.
And if they received it prior to last year, they were grandfathered and continued to receive it.
Well, it's my understanding they were denied to receive it, that they've never received it, despite the fact that they carry a master's.
That would, I would be
So-
interested in knowing who that person is, so I
Okay.
can look at their credit review and
Okay,
their credentials, because if, yeah, for sure, if you're supposed to be receiving it,
okay.
and they were hired prior to last year.
Yeah, they were.
we definitely want to make that right.
Okay, okay.
It doesn't matter, a master's is a master's, but they have it.
Okay. So then, are you adding, is it your proposal to add language to this scenario 3?
No, it would be to, well, either to leave it as is, or if we're going off of the older document, to remove any language that restricts when that stipend would be given.
Well, there's nothing on scenario 3 that what was, I thought, sideways in. That
Then-
talks about that, other than at the bottom, is the assumption just that no matter where you sit, if you have a master's, you get 32, and if you have a bachelor's plus 24, you get 1,900?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would
So
just
then there's no
propose to
language
leave
that
it.
needs to be added?
Correct.
Okay.
So if admin hire people though, that would then fall into category, or into a P1, then they would bring that anyway from the state.
Yeah,
So,
unless they're from out of state.
okay.
Well, if they're from out of state, then we'd end up doing a Form 10 to get them placed on that P1, and then they would bring that in.
The next year.
No, they'd bring it
They
in.
get it, you get reimbursed for that?
We'd get it for this year. If they're new and we do the Form 10 and we can do a professional endorsement recommendation for them, then we're gonna get it.
Oh, good.
That's if
So-
they're coming with experience.
Yeah.
So then hopefully that would be a really small number, that we're not hiring too many people
There's, yeah,
with a master's going in with our, right?
right.
Okay, so where would you like to go from there, Jason?
No, I don't know, do we need to,
Can we give that a thumbs up just to move on? Or are there any more questions about this with the master's, bachelor's stipend?
Well, it's on the schedule, so.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, all right, thank you.
and then,
It's pricey.
yeah, it's
That's my. yeah.
$25,000.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. There could be a lot of drawbacks not doing it either, though.
Right, and that's my concern.
Right
so,
there.
mhm.
And then when we left the last meeting, we were discussing the language about the possible coaches as far as being let go in season because of, with the lack of a team, and I had that verbiage up there that we were working on. So maybe if we can finalize that next.
Okay.
And I think that's in the IBB team are the LEA's
The
topics.
draft, is it in the LA's topics or the
It is,
working draft?
it's on the topics. It says if the program does not have enough athletes to support a full team, then those contracted positions are subject to budget constraints. If money allows, the district may choose to keep that coach on as an assistant to other teams for a period of 1 year. If the budget doesn't allow it, the coach will be let go. If the qualified person is willing to perform the required duties as a volunteer, the district may keep that person in the position if the volunteer fulfills the duties of a paid position for a complete season. They will be given credit for experience and placement on the extracurricular schedule for future assignments. And then in blue, it says this was only put in to stop paying coaches for a year in which their season was canceled due to numbers.
Yeah, so that whole blue section was just
The rationale.
the rationale behind it, and then I have the proposed verbiage there. The hiccup last time was, we're gonna pay a coach if they don't have a season. That's why I put I thought it would be good to leave it up to you guys and the district administrators, because you could have a coach in the spring, a C team coach that's been doing all the off-season requirements, all the workouts, all the stuff along with it, and then you don't know until that season. And sometimes it's even the first few weeks into that season if you're gonna have enough, or maybe kids get hurt and they drop out and you're right on that bubble. And so the rationale was, well, in that case, that coach has really already earned a lot of that because of all the work that they've done throughout the year. And so if the budget allows, and that's where it's a big if, the district may choose to say, okay, well, granted the timing of this situation, we're going to continue to pay this coach for the rest of this school year. If it happens again next year, then that coach will be gone. And but if the budget doesn't allow it, and we're just like, we are already scraping and we have $0 extra as it is, we're in crisis mode anyway, then the district may decide at that point, well, that coach is done then. He can stay on as a volunteer, but he will no longer.
Just because we have the funds, we shouldn't spend them though.
No.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so that's why I put it in there. So that was the rationale of doing it in the past, was because most of our high school programs, it's not just the head coach that does the off-season stuff, it's the assistants right there along with them. They go to the open gyms, they go to the weight room, they work out with kids, and so they're earning that money throughout the year. But I'm open to what you guys, if you guys.
What if we put in like with the AD and the superintendent or something like that, where they evaluate it?
Yeah, that's kind of why I think I said the
decision.
district may choose. And so when I say district, I'm talking you guys and admin.
Yeah.
The ADs get together with the principal or with you guys, and they just say, you know what?
The AD should know what they're doing.
Right.
The only concern I have,
Yeah.
because being a spring coach, and it has happened in our history, is that things are done in the fall because we have money, maybe even in the winter because we have money, but now all of a sudden springtime we don't. And so it's not equitable across the board. So if you're gonna do for one season, you need to make sure you're doing it for other seasons. Because it's not right if all of a sudden volleyball can't field a C team, but they get to keep their coach and now they're an assistant JV or varsity coach.
Mm-hmm.
But then by springtime, you think you're going into season with the C team baseball, and then all of a sudden, because of injuries or grades or what have you, and you have that coach, well, sorry, we're out of money. It was okay in the fall, but now it's not in the spring, because we've had that happen.
How can that happen if the ADs have their budgets that they manage?
Yeah, ultimately, the AD,
Right?
ultimately, yes.
Correct.
I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
I have personally
And-
experienced this myself as a coach. Like, where, I mean, this
Within
was.
the last
I
2
did not,
years.
no.
But see, it does happen.
But it has
and
happened.
We had it happen in, I believe, Timberlake football this year, same type of thing. They didn't have the numbers and they had their coaches, still there. But the budget for the previous year, the ADs are counting on having those 3 teams. And that's really what this is set up for. There was one year I had a C team for 10 straight years. And then all of a sudden in year 11, it was just a group of kids that they didn't turn out for baseball. And so we're trying to manipulate numbers so we can keep that team and do everything we can to keep a team. And then 2 weeks into it, it's just too much because it takes 9 to play, and we were keeping 10 on that team. Well, 2 kids get hurt, now you're forfeiting, and that doesn't do any good for your team or the opposing team that you're playing. And so that's where those situations arise, to where they just say, okay, we're gonna eliminate that C team for the rest of this year. We're gonna keep the coach, and then next year if it happens again.
Is it because you want that person to be able to count on that money throughout the year?
Well, in
Because-
some cases, they are getting paid the whole, like,
Well,
that's where.
teachers get paid
Yes.
all year round, right?
And then they're getting
And then
deducted.
street coaches get paid just during the season.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's not,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
So
right
then
either.
it's tough too, because we've had coaches that have been getting paid since,
Yeah,
whenever, and then now all of a sudden we don't have. That's why it was put in there, for that current season, if you don't have the numbers, then they'll move to assist, but then rolling into the next year, you better ensure that you have those numbers, because they're not gonna be given a contract and start getting paid for that.
right.
The hard part is, because I've seen it too, where I built a C team with softball, and then the next year that I stopped coaching, they got rid of the C team, but they've needed it, because they've had the numbers, and they have not allowed for that until I think they maybe this year have a C team again, and they've had the numbers to do that. So it's also hard to get those programs back once you cut them out and you get rid of those coaches.
My biggest concern on this issue is I don't want what happened with the past superintendent to happen again, to where he read that statement in the NA. It says, if budget, can't remember the exact word, if the budget isn't there, we don't have the budget. He took that as he was able to just freeze everybody where they were at, all coaches all year long, no steps, nothing. And that was not the intent of that. The whole intent of us putting that language in there was because of situations like this. If everyone has total heartburn over, do you keep paying them or not? Do you let them go immediately when that happens? I mean, we can take that out. I just wanted to clear up that verbiage so that it doesn't get misconstrued as ill intent of what it was created for.
So is that the all supplemental extracurricular positions are subject to?
Yeah, or
budget
yeah, what's
constraints?
struck out there. And he took that as, oh, well, we are in a financial crisis, our budget isn't allowing it, so I am not letting anyone move down. And
Again, that just blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me, given that we have 2 million designated within the levy for the,
Extracurriculars?
thank you. And it's my understanding that those ADs have budgets for their programs that
Yeah.
the schools offer. So how could that have even been
just,
laid out that way?
I've said
That
this
doesn't make
before,
any
the AD
sense.
should manage their budgets all the way around
yeah.
throughout the whole season, so they know.
Yeah, and that's my
What's
intent.
happening.
And that's my intent with this new language, was that hopefully the district administrators could get together and say, where are we? Is this, is this a one and only year, like my year 11? Because even after year 11, I went on the next 12 years and had C teams every year after that with no problem. It was just 1 year, but it really helped because I got to retain my coach and started the next year right in line. We did have the conversation with it, that if it happens again.
So I appreciate a couple of things about this. One, I appreciate we want to clear up any confusion like we had this year. I also appreciate the fact that it takes time to build up a program. And that's not something that we want to easily let go of, especially with all of the time and effort that's put into that. I guess my observation about this statement is, I can get behind a statement like this, but functionally, it puts us in a very similar position that we're in now, where it would require us to come up with just a set of administrative procedures between the district office and the activities directors that essentially determines what does a budget allowing it look like specifically, and what are the numbers. And so essentially that's what we put into place this year, was that set of administrative procedures that outline numbers of kids on the team, the timelines, et cetera. And so I guess I'm just throwing that out there candidly. If we put this in there, I could support that, but we're going to have to come up with something similar to guide the process.
Well, Jessica, I'm just curious, with the athletic directors, are they given their budget at the start of the year for the entire year? Or is it by semester or season, or what?
Everybody's given their budget at the beginning of the year. They typically track just their supplies, materials, and contracted services. They don't have a lot of say necessarily over where people are placed or anything like that, so they're not held to their salaries and benefits, because that's something that we just track and make sure they stay in, because the placement happens when the person's hired.
Yeah, I don't think the ADs, they're not paying the coaches, that just
No,
all comes
no,
out
it
of
all
them.
comes
So
through
the
payroll,
district
yeah.
is paying the coach.
That's all work done
The
by our
AD's
human
budget
resources.
is supplies and equipment.
Yeah,
And
and travel.
And travel and umpire fees
Yes.
and all of that stuff. They're in charge, but they don't, the employee themselves, that's the district's responsibility.
So then.
It could change, I guess. I mean,
It
ultimately,
needs to flow through human resources and payroll to be paid correctly.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is people getting money taken out of their paychecks. If they're getting paid all year and now they have to pay that money back, that's concerning.
We could just do it over the season instead of
Yeah.
spreading it out over the year. That would prevent that from happening.
I mean, because we have a lot of coaches that do resign in the middle of the year. They're,
Right.
and they've been paid since September 1, and so they wait until the
yeah.
season to
But
tell
see,
us.
I feel like that's a different scenario, because like I've had this conversation, and because I've argued for just getting paid during the season. I mean, I would coach middle school
It would
if
be
you just,
cleaner to just
Right.
pay during the season.
but then if you're looking at trying to go towards a retirement, then, because you get a lot of people that want to boost their paychecks for so many months prior to when they retire, teachers, and so then that messes that up.
I talked to some teachers and they want to coach, but they don't want to get paid all year round.
No.
They just want to get paid during the season.
Right, because I've said that, but then I'm looking at it from the stance of, if I'm close to retirement, I'm
You
looking
want to
at
boost your
trying
90.
to get as many months as I can where my
Your pay's
pay is
higher.
higher to go towards what I'm going to take as retirement. And so then it messes that up for those people. So that's why this is kind of I don't know if yeah.
I look at it too as like so if we just stayed to in season, what happens then if that C team coach has been doing all the stuff all year long, the camps and the clinics and the workouts and the open gyms, and he's been right there doing everything, earning his money. And then the season gets there and there's not enough players, and so you're saying, okay, see ya, but now, so he did all of that for nothing. I mean, for no
The
incentive.
problem is
I
you're only
appreciate
paid for
that,
the
Jason, but
season.
we're paying them for the season. I understand.
Right.
My daughter came up through the Timberlake girls basketball program. I totally get the importance of, she went to Sunday open gyms. Ollie Miller can attest to that. But we're paying them for the season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's part of being a coach. If you want to be better, you got to do extra.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I mean, you're saying the coach is doing this, But so are the athletes. I mean,
Well,
they're the ones that
Yeah,
are
100%.
invested in this, even though it's not their time to perform. I mean, a kid is doing all this extra and they blow their knee out, well, you know, that's a risk they took.
Yeah.
So I just think that we should be making payment to anyone doing extracurricular for the season of whatever extracurricular they're choosing to apply for. I don't think it's beneficial to have a handful over here of street coaches that are only allowed to receive during the season, and then all the others over here, they can have it all year long, and then we've got HR having to hunt down people
Yeah.
and pull money back, and it's awfully messy. And I don't think it should be year-round. I think it should be for the course of the season.
So we kind of have two things going on at the same time. So we have, when are we going to pay them? And then we have this scenario. So I don't know which one
Can we settle when we're gonna pay them first?
Sure.
Everybody's gone around to share their opinion. Are there any other questions or comments about that?
Is it a big payroll nightmare to give the certified coaches a choice? Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is, for sure.
Yeah,
I just think we're gonna get some major pushback from a lot of our varsity coaches especially. That are members.
Yeah, because you're thinking,
Because we have a lot that are,
I mean, that's $300 and some out of their paycheck every month. I mean, ultimately, they'll make that up in those 3 or 4 months that they're coaching, but that's a lot of
But
money.
it does affect their
That's a
their
big-
Percy.
That's a big hit.
Well, it's still the same amount of money, right, going in your Percy?
Yeah, but, so it
Well-
depends on when your
no,
season.
it's all based
over-
on the daily rate of pay.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
whenever you average it differently, it would impact that.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a consideration, for sure.
I don't know that a lot of our members would support that because of that reason.
Has it always been that way?
I'm sorry, as far as,
Have we always paid coaches all year long?
Yes.
since I've been in it, yes.
As far as I
And
can
and
remember.
street
It's been a long
coaches
time.
have always been just seasons only because we have no other way to recover or do
Okay.
things.
Well, to the language then.
So does that mean that it just dies away?
I mean, we can take a vote on it.
Keep it status quo.
Well, keep it status quo or maybe just eliminate. We got to do something about the strike-through sentence. Because that was what was misinterpreted. Ultimately, in my opinion, we have to do something with that. If we don't want to add anything in the red or want to reword what's struck through, so it's how it's fully intended.
As a compromise, personally, I don't agree with keeping on a coach and paying him in hopes that next year he's got a team or she's got a team. I don't agree with that at all. I understand the concept that you want to keep them because hopefully next year we'll be pulling more people in. But I look at it from this perspective. If they're committed to this district and they're committed to their sport, they're coming back. It's not going to be a beg and a plead type of a thing
Yeah.
because they want to see it happen. And I would think they would understand, you don't have a team, you should not be being paid. So that's just my perspective. From a business sense, I don't know too many employers that keep people hanging on just in case they might get more work to throw their way and keep paying them a full salary.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Is there a way to just put it for C-team coaches? Because it seems like that's where we have the issues. It's not, like C-team coaches will only be paid during season. So then you're not dealing with problems on one side or the other.
Yeah, the only reason I put in the varsity and JV was because I thought of that originally, because it used to be just C-team. But we had the situation this year with Timberlake football where
Okay.
Was it Lakeland that had
their JV
C teams, girls didn't have a,
and C team.
did they?
But yeah, but see, that's, I'm
They
saying
got rid of it.
C team,
In
but
basketball, for
Yeah.
basketball,
for
yes.
basketball, but.
And
They turned the money back in, right? Or whatever, they canceled
Yeah,
it?
yes.
Because I think she went to another school.
But then if we're
So-
talking about JV, because I think about Timberlake being smaller.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, I can see both sides. That's why we agreed to take that out last year. I really started working on this verbiage just to show you what it kind of used to say, plus taking out the statement so it doesn't get misinterpreted. But if the group doesn't, if you guys don't, if you don't like that the way it is as a business sense, I understand that. That's, you can argue that. I can see both sides, honestly, because it doesn't happen very often. And generally, from my experience with the administrators and the head coaches, they pretty much know already who's coming in, and they have those conversations at the end of the season. And like, hey, what's next year look like? And oh man, I got a great group, 8th graders coming in, new freshmen, and yeah, we're gonna have a team. And so hopefully you can take care of a lot of that stuff the prior year, at the end of each season. But there are some situations where it's just unforeseeable. But I am totally fine to take that out and keep it as long as we can change.
Well, and maybe putting more pressure, I know a lot of coaches do, but maybe there needs to be more pressure on coaches to have meetings in the spring, even spring coaches, having signups, so you kind of have an idea of what your numbers are gonna look like, so that when you are rolling for those conversations, you're rolling into the contract coming up, like, if you're like, oh, I don't know, our C team numbers are not looking very good, then maybe we need to hold off on having a contract and putting that on to coaches a little bit more, so that you kind of have an idea, so that, hey, I want to have a C team, please budget for it, but don't give out this contract until we know.
That's what I was gonna say, because the athletic director, ultimately, at the end of the year, he's gonna want to know that too for his budget, right? Or as far as conversation with the district to say, yeah, when we're putting in the budget for the following year, we're gonna make sure we have.
Because you can go down and meet with freshmen and kind of have an idea of what your numbers are looking like.
I feel like that describes, that's basically what we did this year with the ADs at both high schools. Not so much at middle level, but certainly at both high schools. And so it's fresh, those thresholds are new. But we're having those same sort of conversations about like, hey, we want to support your program, we want you to be successful. We know that takes, moving kids through a C team, through a JV, into varsity, and that takes years. So I don't know, I think that we're both saying the same thing. In terms of the language, I'm open to either way.
Another brainstorm would be, you just take it all out. Because it was only added last year, before, or I guess in last year's IBB, or maybe it was 2 years ago, Brooke, I can't remember now. But when we added that, we added it specifically for those scenarios with that statement in there that was.
But it was
struck.
misinterpreted.
But it was misinterpreted. So I guess another brainstorm would be you could just leave it out, then hopefully the athletic director's doing their job anyway, and when it comes to a situation, you don't have to go searching for any language, you just.
Well, at this point, we would rely on the administrative procedures we've created to be consistent. Because
Right.
the last thing I want to do is tell Katie one thing and tell Matt something different.
Exactly.
So that would be my
we've
recommendation.
created that process.
If you trust that process, then I'm totally fine with just striking it all.
That would be the cleanest way to go.
Yeah.
I don't care either way.
Okay. Okay.
Are you
All right.
guys okay with that one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where that paragraph on your thing
the one you struck through, is in the negotiated agreement. I'm just trying to find out where it's at.
Number 8, but I can't see what page it is. Does it
No,
have-
that's the language from IBB,
Let's see.
so I guess I can do that.
I just search it and see. It's all sort of based on the levy anyways, whatever comes through on the levy is what we have to work with.
Oh, there it is. I found it. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph. Our subjects, it's to budget constraints and may not be funded in the budget for a particular school year. Budget report.
Page 6 of the negotiated agreement.
Right, or I'm on page 8. You're saying page 6.
Oh, sorry. I'm
No,
on
that's
the,
okay.
I'm on our current negotiated agreement from the, not the draft.
Added some language there.
Sorry.
2 pages worth.
I'm not on the working draft.
Okay, so. Okay, I guess maybe, because maybe it's just me. The language is all supplemental extracurricular positions are subject to budget constraints and may not be funded in the budget for a particular school year.
And that is.
To me, that would be
working
a-
copy.
Yeah. Okay. How do we, I don't know. If a position has not been budgeted for and a qualified person is willing to perform the required duties as a volunteer, we may place that person in that position if the volunteer fulfills the duties. Okay, so I think we just need to, I guess, add some language so that you can't leap from here all the way over to here and think that you can just do whatever. I mean, when you read that, to me it's pretty clear because the budget should be set up before the school year starts. So why would people not know? I mean, why would we ever be in a position,
I argued that for weeks.
there's a lot of arguing going on. Yeah, that,
But
I
there
get
was
what you're
a
trying to put
misinterpretation by a particular individual that's not here, so why are we spending hours talking about this? It's done. They have a procedure in place. I say we just, and
Strike
move
it.
forward, be done with it.
so we're striking the language that basically says that if there's no money and it's not budgeted for, it's not gonna happen, we're gonna take that out?
Well,
Well, it
Well,
should
there's
be
an
happening
administrative,
anyway.
there's an
Okay.
administrative procedure in place, just like there is an administrative procedure in place for deciding how many students justifies another teacher in a school in the fall. And so I feel like we could take this out and we would not be at risk of losing any of the steps that would take place here.
All right, do we still need to keep the language in about if someone wants to volunteer for the position, then we're good to go on that, or we're taking that out as well?
I think you take it out as well, because that could be just a conversation with the administrator or the AD and say, we don't have the position. If you want to stay on this year as an AD and maybe we have the position next year, you can apply for it. I mean, there's nothing to, I mean,
That's not an extracurricular position, is it? The AD?
no.
Okay.
The AD would have that conversation with the
Oh,
employee.
It came
I'm
out
like-
wrong.
It-
I knew what he was saying, but he
come out,
said,
yeah.
I heard what you heard, but I was like, I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I do that
I was like,
all
wait,
the
we're
time.
getting rid of ADs, what?
Yeah, lady, all right.
Sorry.
I knew what he meant, like,
See,
coaching.
Steph, it's not just you.
Okay, so you want to take that out as well,
Because normally the
so the whole
coach
paragraph
would
there.
more you back if you volunteer.
All right, thumbs up to remove the paragraph. Sweet. All right.
Thank you.
All right, so then. So that's, okay.
Then the next thing, Dave, we started talking last week about the extracurricular stuff, and we kind of wanted to postpone it. I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts. You and I, we've talked a little bit about that. I did
Well,
put a,
I've been talking to coaches, ADs, and they said the simplest way to do it is just base it on the number of days of the season. So, I mean, I don't think it's fair for a coach that has 113 days of a season gets to pay this somebody that has 61 days. That's not fair to anybody, So I think it's football has boys basketball has 113 days, and golf has 61 days.
I thought they were redoing basketball though. Is that the current? Because basketball's been
I don't know.
shortened this year.
Basketball's been shortened. I don't know.
And golf has been
By a week.
lengthened.
so I have kind of maybe a win-win. Because I know a lot of it, especially like with playoff play, football could go potentially, an extra 4 weeks?
Yeah.
If they go all the way to state, that is a lot of extra time. So, Sarah, if you could please bring, and this is just a brainstorm, so, I mean, you guys might want to just say you're an idiot and go on, but if you could bring up the L.E.A. IBB topics, I think it's at the top of the agenda, towards the top of the agenda.
You're on it, that's it.
Okay, and then if you scroll down, okay, so coaches per program criteria, that's something complete. And it's number 10 we need to look at. So what I said is, for the sake of everything, with all the discussion and stuff that we've had, and could you scroll up just a little bit? Yeah, there you go. I wrote, this is my brainstorm, keep all the extracurricular same. Because last week we talked about, I think it was Connie, you were saying how you witnessed the Timberlake head
Yep.
cross-country coach out running with
Cross-country
his
team
kids.
was out running.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and their season's
right by my
done.
house.
But in order for his group to be competitive, he knows that he's got to put in that time. In a scenario like that, I think what we're saying is, I understand the season thing. The seasons are longer. If you look at it from a head coach's perspective, the seasons, in my opinion, are the same because of all the off-seasonal stuff that you're required to do. I do agree some programs aren't doing that.
But that's the problem.
But I think
if
that-
you're a head coach, you might be out there, but I've seen it in the past where the coaches that are paid don't show up to anything.
Yeah.
Never, until the season starts. And then
Yeah.
they start showing up and they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, see, and that's wrong.
That's the problem.
In my
Well,
opinion.
that's on the activities
That's on
director.
the
To me,
to-
It's actually on the head coach.
On that.
Well, I think it's both of them.
Both
I
of
think the head coach because if we were all doing something, we were all doing something, and nobody gets to slack off. I've had you seem to have a revolving door on C-team coaches because they're trying to move up the ladder as well and get into different things and earn extra money, and so that tends to be the team that has the most turnover. And I had a C-team coach come up to me at the end of the year and they say, well, my season's done. Do I have to go to the district tournament next weekend? I'm like, I just laughed at him. What? You got to be
Why would
kidding
you
me.
not?
Why would you not want
Yeah.
to? That was my question back. And so to me, that was my job to say, no, this is, I started out with old man Terry Kiefer, and, he had that same thing. He kind of had that same, me and Randy
We both
started
did.
the same year, and it was just always expected. But anyway, so my brainstorm would, to get rid of all of that argument as far as who does more or which season, I thought, well, what if we look at adding bonuses to those
Talked
coaches?
about that before.
And so I just threw out some numbers. Now, these numbers, I was just kind of thinking, I looked at a few other places around, and that's where those numbers kind of came from. So I was in a roundabout with other districts and states. But my thought was, every head coach makes the same because, gosh darn it, we want our programs to be top level, and we know that in order to be top level, you have to work all year long. And so we're not gonna pay one coach any different than the other because the expectations are the same. That used to be the philosophy with all the admin at Lakeland and Timberlake. I don't know if that's changed. I've been out of it the last, 3 or 4 years. But that used to be the attitude, that we weren't gonna change any of those expectations. To tell Sean Lawler that he's gonna go from 15.5% now to 12.5% because of his season is short, but yet you see him out here running every day of the summertime when he doesn't have to, that's.
Well, he would've got it, he's a cross country?
Yeah.
Boys?
Yeah.
Right, so they got third, so he would've got a
Yeah.
bonus.
So that's where I got to thinking, okay, well, let's create some incentives then for those coaches.
team.
And many states.
I was gonna
many-
say, they won this year. They didn't get third. They,
Oh, I thought, the
Yeah.
girls got third?
Yeah,
Girls
so,
have won the state championship.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So I just wrote, okay, so let's say you win your league or you win your district championship. Okay, that qualifies your team, whether, we talked before wrestling and track, well, they automatically send people to state anyway, but they also have to compete as a team against the other league schools. And so even though they're going to state anyway, they may not win their district tournament, but they still get to send a certain number of athletes to state anyway. In my opinion, those coaches in that level should not be rewarded because they didn't win their league, they didn't win their district tournament. So I wrote that if they are district champions, which qualifies their whole entire team to go to state, then they get a bonus of $500. If they go all the way through and they win a state championship, Kelsey Badger, she'd get $1,000, or that head coach would get.
She doesn't need it.
Yeah, that head coach would get and again, these numbers can be tweaked or looked at differently. These are just some, I've just been brainstorming throughout the week and looking at other schools and possible bonuses that they have. And then I got to thinking, okay, so we have, let's say you make it to state, but now you're placing at state. In state competitions, you can get first, second, third, or they call it a consolation trophy, which is ultimately fourth place. If you lose in that consolation round, you don't get any trophy. You become a fifth. You're fifth. You're not. If you win that, you're considered fourth. But because of bracketing, they're different. So I put, again, more incentive. If your team gets second place, it's $500. If you're third place, $400. If you get the consolation trophy, you get $300. And then I got to thinking about the football because they do go extra weeks and they only play one game a week and they have to go those extra times. So if they win that first round game, they win $300. The second round game would be $400 bonus. The third round, I believe I'm not sure in the third round, I don't think they place yet. I think that third round game puts them in seeding for that final
I think
place.
if you win 2 rounds, you get third.
Is
I
that
think last year they had third round and they ended up third.
Yeah.
third round? Okay, yeah, so I wasn't sure because I've been out of football for quite a while and I'm not sure how the playoffs are restructured, so we could tweak that. But each level, you get a little bit more of a bonus.
and those stack, or is that
They stack.
just what it is?
No-
So they could get $1,200.
Yes, and rightly so, because if you win that
You get
playoff,
1,500 if you win state.
yeah, and then if you win the state, you get the $1,000. But each week you're getting a bonus, and that gives the coaches the more incentive to, work their tails off to get there because, they're getting more of a bonus.
So
Again,
football
well-
could get $2,200 bonus.
Per coach.
Well, and that's what I wrote.
Well,
So
that's what we have to decide.
in the red, I wrote, we need to decide payouts for head coaches or assistants. Example 1, each coach would get the same, head coaches and assistants. My example B, head coach would get the full bonus and assistants would get a portion, half or a portion. Again, this was just stuff that I found that other schools do, but it's really all over the board. So to me, that was kind of if the expectation at Lakeland High School and Timberlake High School are all the same for all the head coaches, then you can't tell me that I'm less important than another coach and expect me to do the exact same work. And so I thought, well then, if you do get a scenario to where you're having you're having a coach that's, putting in that work and putting in that time, and that's really paying off. And those, the football coaches that go those extra weeks, then they get rewarded for it as well. Just a brainstorm. But
Or you could just go off daily rate of pay for everybody,
based on their
length of
Yeah,
their
if
season.
they're an assistant, and then-
do that
Yeah.
too, you know?
So they get like 1 day daily rate, or
Yeah, for
if
the
they
whole
win-
season, for the season, you know?
Yeah,
And also you gotta take into consideration how many players they have and how many coaches they have under them. So football has 10 coaches under them.
yeah.
And I don't know about like,
Yeah, but not all 10 are varsity coaches.
no, but he's still managing 3 teams. He's in charge of 3 teams and, you know, if something happens, he's the one at fault. He's gonna be in trouble. Same with wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, we got guys that won't even touch the JV lineup, but we still have to coach them and, you know, manage them. So, just trying to figure a way that's,
So that's what I was doing. My whole goal was to try to come up
Easier.
with something to where,
Well, and I am in full support of that, because I do believe in merit-based reward, that if you are rising to the occasion, then yes. But it doesn't solve my first crux, which is, you know, explain to me what the golf coach does all year long to support growth in that program.
Weight room,
I've seen, yeah.
out practicing,
So the
golfing
weight room,
with
aside
kids.
from kids signing up to be part of the weight room on their schedule.
Yes, like
Okay.
going out to the golf course, working with kids, doing
But
drills.
they can't do that during the winter. The spring, it's extremely
They can
wet.
do it
You
in the
have
Oh,
to
they're-
winter.
wait
They-
until.
Yeah, they do it all winter
yeah,
long.
they're
I'd have to.
doing-
They go out on the golf course.
Not on the
no,
golf course,
It
but they're
bothered
doing
me
drills.
because they were using my batting cages
Yeah.
to hit golf balls and
Yeah.
teach technique, and I would have to
Okay.
actually sign a schedule
Okay.
to share my batting cages with golf, and I'm like, they're golf, not baseball. So that happened every year, but I did that
Okay.
because everybody does tennis. They're in there all winter long
Baseball,
Where are they at?
softball.
in the gym.
In the cage,
So they
in
set
the
up the
gym.
time for the gym, and
Okay.
they set up nets, and so I guess
What about
Michelle,
swimming?
swimming. I don't know the new head coach. The old head coach was there. He says in order for any of those kids to place at all, it's a commitment. They have to be all year long, and they go to the Croc Center, and he was at the Croc Center at least 5 nights a week.
Okay.
So I guess the expectation back when I was coaching, and Dave, tell me if I'm wrong, I haven't been there in 3 years now, but the expectation back when I was a head coach from the administration at Lakeland, and I've talked to Bill enough that I know it was the same here at Timberlake, was that we want to produce good athletes and programs in our school. And so the expectation was always, you're going to do stuff not just in season. In season's a joke anymore, because that's not where you're gonna get good and where you're gonna start winning is all the off-season stuff.
Correct.
And then it's not only that, but it's building the youth
Yeah.
program. We have one of the best,
Right, that's why we partnered.
the best
Right.
youth wrestling programs in the state. I would say probably even in the country if you really want to look at it. But that's all because of the head coach and his assistants. What are they doing? They're out in the community. They're going to junior high. They're going to elementary schools, and they're talking to those kids, and they're putting in that time. And so the attitude was, we're going to pay our coaches the same, because you can't tell me there's one coach that's better than any other coach in our school. He may put in a longer season, but when you look at it as 365 days, nobody puts in a longer season. And it's the job of the athletic director and the administration, really, to get a head coach that's going to buy in. And if there's a program, if swimming's not doing that, that, to me, that's an administrator problem. If you're not going to do this, then how are you going to win? If he's not doing anything and winning, then I want to know that guy. I want to know what he's doing in season, because I guarantee it doesn't happen.
Okay.
And so my thought is, again, I use Sean Lawler as, I would hate to have that conversation, look Sean Lawler in the eye and say, you're gonna get paid less because your in-season is not as long as these other seasons, but yet he has the most titles at Timberlake High School. Why? Because he puts in the time. And why does he do that? One, he cares, right? He cares about kids. But he's also, but that's also been instilled in him that in order to have a good program, the expectation at Timberlake is you're going to go above and beyond. And that was how it was when I was head coach at baseball. Is the expectation of a head coach is you're going to go above and beyond to create a good program. And if you can't do that, then we're probably.
Well, another
gonna let
problem is
somebody
we
else.
don't pay all the head coaches the same. It's based off years of experience too.
Well, yeah,
So,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
but
but
they-
you're not
they-
treating them all the
Everybody
same.
qualifies
Every-
for the same matrix.
yeah, they all qualify for the same.
Well, and I just circle back to what I've said before with, that's like saying, okay, is the expectation as a teacher that you're only gonna work your contracted time? Because if I'm an English teacher, I am definitely doing way more at-home work than the weights teacher. That's just, those are facts. Like, I'm sorry, the weights teacher is not bringing home, and I'm not picking on them whatsoever. But an English teacher is a math teacher, they're taking stacks.
But
of
you guys
work
get
home.
paid for your contract days too. So,
Yeah, but there's
But
a
No, what
straight
I'm,
paid.
no, I never said.
When are we
I'm
gonna
saying-
stipend teachers?
But you get
so
paid the
kids
same,
can
right?
read?
that's what I'm saying
Yeah.
though,
How
is
about
that
No, I don't. I
a
mean,
weights teacher is making the same as me, and,
Yeah.
but maybe they just are smarter than me because I'm taking a bunch of work home and they don't have to.
I was
'cause
just
they can
thinking,
prep during their
teachers are
prep.
paid off contract days, right? That's your contract days.
But so what I'm arguing though is that if I'm an English teacher, I am working well beyond my
Yep.
contracted time
Mhm.
because there's no way I can get it done during my contracted time.
Right,
Where a weights teacher is not gonna have to take a bunch of work home
right. No, I get
beyond
it.
their contracted time, just like the coach that, is putting in.
Yeah, more
But the
hours.
expectation is that you better be doing your job.
Yeah,
If you show up in a weights class and they have no plan, then that teacher's not doing their job, and then they need
well,
to
how do
be
we
talked
make
to.
sure that coaches are actually doing their job? Because I've got complaints where coaches just throw out some rackets and balls and sit there in a lawn chair.
Athletic directors, like that's admin.
You
And
know.
we've said it for years. Because, again, I've argued that and I've talked to you about that. Like, it used to drive me nuts with our very first tennis coach where I'm like, is this a joke? I'm out here 3-4 hours doing field prep and working 365, trying to build youth programs, doing all of this stuff, and they get to make essentially the same amount of money, but they didn't last very long. That's not the system anymore.
Right.
Well, and I know, going back to like my baseball experience too with, and I get the days in season, but I also know that, I would have a very hard time making less than the head football coach. Because one, the head football coach doesn't have to mow and paint his field. I have to mow and chalk my lines every single day, every single game. I gotta do all that.
Got a robot
so-
now.
Yeah, I know, they have
Not
a
anymore.
robot. But somebody,
The robot.
but I don't see.
Not on the baseball field.
No.
That is not
And so
happening.
that's just the thing, the Sean Lawlers, or we also have, Lakeland Cross Country. Those people are out there running all the time. And I would hate to be that person to say, you're gonna make less money, we expect the exact same output from you, and you're not as good as the other coach for what you're doing. And to me,
It'd be like a slap in the face
so that's why I
for
kind
someone
of
that's been
think,
doing it for years to develop that program.
I think the attitude from our administrator should be, you have got to you as a head coach in a program, if we want to be successful at Lakeland, this is what you need to do, A, B, and C. And
Well,
if
this
you're-
is another problem is like Colleen and you, how many coaches you get?
I had 5 in my program.
Five?
I get 4 paid.
Right.
I had an extra varsity assistant. And a lot of times,
Well,
JV would
that's
have
what
an
I'm saying.
assistant.
So wrestling has anywhere from, I've had probably the least amount, 40 kids, and as many as 89, and we
Yeah.
get 3.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of formula where if you have more kids, you should get paid more.
Well, it should be.
Or
I
get
have-
another coach or something.
There
I
is
have
a
it.
formula.
There is.
I know, but they
Yeah,
don't
that
follow
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah, but then they
Because-
don't, because
yeah.
Yeah, that's on our list too to talk
fought
about.
and fought. Like, Jason and I had to fight for years because I had 2 coaches for years, a varsity and a JV coach.
Mhm.
I had to beg, borrow, and steal. Finally, I got 3 coaches stipends. And so, I don't know, like, eventually we got an assistant coach where really, I mean, with baseball and softball, you have to have 2 coaches per team, but yet that still is not paid. My husband coaches varsity baseball and he has 3 teams, just like with Jason, and he gets, I think, 4 stipends that he splits a bunch of different ways so that he can get enough coaches just so that you can have, so you don't have a kid coaching first base. So I agree with you, when you do have 40 guys going out for a program and you're only getting that many coaches, and
Right.
it should depend on the sport as well, because football, you need more specialized. Wrestling, you need more specialized. But, you know, we've had to fight even with cross-country, like you have a lot of kids out there, and how are you going to supervise those kids when they're on these long runs? And so it is kind of frustrating, you know, over the years what they've had to fight for numbers. And so I don't know, is there a?
There's a protocol linked in.
Okay.
So to go back to the bonuses for winning games and championship seasons, I guess my concern with this,
What if everybody starts winning?
well, that would be a good problem to have.
Then we just.
My concern is, you know, these are all levy-funded programs at this point.
Right.
And we're coming into a levy year. I would hate to put something in place like this, not only because of the time and effort, energy that would go into creating it in an equitable way, but also just to do that to coaches, where we're potentially looking at a levy could pass or fail, and then are we having to go back to the drawing board and claw things back?
That was gonna be my next statement, Jake, was given the year of, I mean, I don't recommend doing anything extra right now just because of we're freezing everybody and now wait a minute, you're gonna give a coach an extra $1,000, you know? What I would like to propose is to keep our extracurricular as it is, and then maybe me and Dave, or we can put maybe a team together to continue this conversation and maybe come up with, you know, a solution that's a win-win. Because to me, if the high school ADs aren't on board with this, or they have something completely different, I'd like, you know, I'd want to know that. I also want to have the conversations with those high school principals and ADs about the scenarios, or what do you do if you have open gym but the coach is sitting in the back in the lawn chair reading, you know, a book, and you know, and maybe kind of get an overall picture of how can we improve this going forward, where everybody.
I thought they had, were you part of it last 2 years ago? They did something with the activities directors and they had it all figured out, and then it just got lost
Yeah,
or something.
It didn't get lost, it got presented at IBB last year.
yeah. So again, it's to me though.
But we didn't do it though.
No, we didn't do any. Last year we didn't do it because we understood there was no extra
It
funds to
would've
do
cost
it, and
money.
it would have cost, I
Oh.
believe, it was over $50,000. And so last year we just said, okay, well, let's keep working on it. We were presented, I know they came up with 3 or 4 different scenarios, and we looked at, but then it just sparked all this other conversation of, you know, why are we doing this? What's the rationale behind it? What's the expectation? You know, if Sean Waller or our other cross-country coaches, or any other coach, I keep saying that as one, but I'm talking all of them, if they're gonna get paid less, is their job description now different because they're getting paid less, or is the expectation the same? And if the expectation is the same,
Well, is it in their job description that this is a 365-day position, that you're expected to go above and beyond to
I would have to
do
look at it,
everything
but
with
I know
clubs,
I was
etc.?
told that when I was hired, I was told
Right.
that this isn't just an in-season job.
Okay, but if
And
you're
are
told
you-
that, but it's not part of your job description, what are you obligated to support?
Then it absolutely should be put into the job description.
So exactly, so again, that's where
So,
I would suggest, can we just leave it where it is, and then let's really work to fix this.
But if we are gonna work, can we agree that we're gonna work for a bonus structure that you have proposed versus, and keep coaches' pay the same, if the expectation is the same?
So we're freezing the coach's salary schedule.
No, I'm not saying, like, what I'm saying is, like, keep what we have as far as this is what everybody's gonna get paid, depending on this, every sport's gonna get paid the same structure. If you're the track coach, you're getting paid as the same as the football coach, what we have in store right now. But then work out a bonus structure.
Work out an alternate solution to where,
And then put it into whatever we're asking for in the levy, if that's what we're pushing for.
because ultimately, in my opinion, if that tennis coach is sitting there in his lawn chair and not doing anything, they're not gonna win districts. And so they won't have any of those because.
Yeah, but they're still getting paid the same as everybody else.
And then they
That's
should not
what the
have a contract.
you're saying a slap in the face to him for doing extra. It's a slap in the face to him for him not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Then they should not get, it's a year-to-year contract.
I agree.
They should not get rehired,
Yeah,
period.
that's what I say. I say those scenarios are
It's part of
admin
the,
issues.
it's part of the admin evaluation.
So then if your proposal is just to keep everything status quo, is it your expectation that the year of experience, everybody's going to move on the schedule?
Well, in my understanding, I believe everyone's frozen.
That's our understanding.
To
of
me,
that proposal.
because we always talk about one matrix includes all matrices, right? And so that was kind of my understanding is
Okay.
if the salary schedule gets frozen, that means all salary schedules.
Correct.
And so I would think.
When's this have to be all signed by?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah,
Probably.
right now, tonight.
Tonight?
Actually, I think it was in May.
No.
So we're talking, you guys keep talking coaches. What, are we doing the same for co-curriculars?
Yeah.
FCC, L.E.A, BPA?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It just
Now,
doesn't say
ultimately.
that, so I just wanted to make sure that that's.
And I've received, since we met this last time, I've received some emails from, like the BPA and the FMLA, or FCC, I don't know, acronym. FMLA, I'm sick. But the same thing, like, is anyone ever gonna look at those? And I think we need to. I think we've been wanting the last couple of years to put a team together. I was hoping that, like, through the previous, superintendent, I was hoping we'd get to stuff like that in our PSC
Right.
meetings, and because that's the stuff that you really got to research. And again, but they're huge animals because you have to look at, okay, well, what's the requirements? What's the job description? What's the administration telling them to do? What's this teacher doing? And is it the same as what Timberlake's doing? Because they're both getting paid the same, and so it is a big animal, but it takes time, and it takes, I think, the right work and a lot of work, but the right work to go out and do that research. And I would love to do that. I would love to look at everything in that extracurricular and say, is this amount justifiable? Where did we come up with this amount?
Right.
Do we need to add to it, or do we need to take some out?
You should just put a team together and do it anyways, so
Well,
that you
I
guys
agree.
can bring,
Yeah.
Well, and we have done
Regard-
this, and then the
Yeah.
hours get thrown away because there are definitely positions that are getting paid more and do less, and other positions that do way more and get paid less. And so it's not,
And there's some people that do extra and don't get any stipends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then stipend people aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but I would encourage you to do that. Put together your own team and bring it for your own negotiation, and,
Okay. I'll-
say this is what's actually happening. Here's all the roadblocks we've ran into. I mean, as a trustee, even when you run in like after the negotiation, like you were saying, even though it was in there, you weren't getting, because I remember when we did the coaches, like after 10 kids, you got another assistant coach or what. Like, if that doesn't happen, I think the board should know. Like, you should be able to tell the board directly, hey, we agreed and now how do we get it to happen?
Right.
So that it doesn't just go a whole year or you're doing it year after year and then, I mean, I would, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Is to bring all the
Yeah,
things
100%.
and then hash it out.
No, I love that. Okay. I'll do that for sure.
Well, and in all fairness, I mean, I know
a few of us have asked about these co-curriculars. How did we get here, and what are we paying for? And why are we having,
Yeah, why isn't
when
it
there's a
extra
class and then
stipend?
we have this, and why is,
Yeah.
I mean, it just, and every year we're told, oh, we'll get to that next year. We'll get to that next year.
And like I said,
So-
like, we have all spent, because as an advisor, we have submitted our time and our hours and how much we put in beyond what we have during our day.
Okay.
And then nothing really has
Well, it's never made its way
It's
this way.
it's
Yeah.
not
That's
made
all I
it to the
can
board
say.
since I've been on the board.
But it
What
has
a-
made it to the, like,
Okay.
to our former superintendents, multiple times, multiple times.
Okay.
We've sat in leadership team meetings and discussed this, and
I believe you.
Okay.
I think
I want to bring something up that me and you talked about. Problems inside the schools or whatever, and you told me, you could say you didn't tell me that or not, but you
I'd
said.
like to hear it first.
You told
Can we
me.
shut the mic off?
You told me you weren't allowed to talk to the board.
Yeah,
Which,
that's generally the case. I usually have a chain of command. I don't think I've ever been told, well, I was told by
Oh,
a
you guys got
superintendent,
an
previous
email.
superintendent.
I got
Yeah.
a copy
Yeah,
of
and
it.
I've talked to you guys a few times, but yeah, there's a chain of command. So generally, and that's what, when I was talking with Jake and the previous superintendent and all the superintendents after that, that's what our weekly meetings are for. We cover a lot of things in those weekly meetings. It's always been my understanding, I was going to say assumption, but it was my understanding that everything that we had discussed in there was being shared
Yeah.
with you guys anyway, and I found out that's not the case, because,
Correct.
and that needs to happen.
No, it
Because
does.
there has been some issues within some schools where we just can't, get anywhere, and I'm a pretty trusting person, and so I'm assuming that, the superintendent is relaying information, because I follow the chain of command. I talk to the principals first whenever there's an issue. If we can't get anywhere, it needs to go further, then I talk to the superintendent. And then I have been told that it stops with them, and it's the superintendent's job to speak to the board, because that's your employee.
Correct.
And so it's not, and it doesn't look good if I overstep that, so
but if
I'm
it's
trying
not
to-
being handled.
Right.
But he
then you
doesn't
need to
know
come
that
to
it's
us.
not.
What's
It's
that?
he doesn't know that it's
Yeah.
not, so it's just been relayed to him. Oh, they don't want to hear it.
Right.
So, yeah, but I will definitely, I think, and working with Jake, I think Jake's, very transparent.
Yeah.
I would
I
like
would
to
agree
make
with you
sure
on
that
that. Yeah,
those,
I would.
Are,
Yeah, I feel that things are improving. I'll just say that.
it would be nice though, like if, in the spirit of the PST team, even if we met quarterly, that would be a nice,
Can we
like,
give it a new name?
yes,
Because
so
all
I didn't
do
love
is
that
go,
either.
It drives me nuts.
Well,
We can workshop.
Can we just
and-
do
Perfect.
Workshop.
Perfect.
IBB workshops?
Yeah,
Because there's no reason that we can't continue
Correct.
having conversations
yeah.
yeah,
and bringing up everybody's interests.
Right.
yeah.
And that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It would actually, I think, be a truer form of interest-based bargaining.
Yeah.
To do it continually like that.
So
I-
Dave, I wanna lean on you a little bit. Sorry,
Mhm.
Jake, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I actually just wanted to say that I feel like I can really support this direction of keeping things status quo for this year, knowing the situation that we're in. I absolutely support an ongoing conversation about this with the right people in the room. I would respectfully ask for a chain of command that we make sure that the district office is included in that. And as much as I hate to always be the bearer of this news, we're not dealing with any magical new money next year either. And so just keep that in mind, that we'll be
Right.
dealing with the same constraints next year. If we're gonna look at bonuses for winning seasons, then we're gonna have to account for that somehow.
So Dave, do you think, I'm leaning on you because I know you're into high school, quite a bit. Do you think this is a good direction to go? Do you think?
I like the merit-based
Yeah.
stuff. I think, yeah, you should reward,
Yeah,
People should be rewarded for their efforts.
yeah.
And I guess the challenge is understanding that with the salary schedule being the way it is for coaches, it seems a little bit binding when it's like we really want to reward good stuff. But, when we're feeling whether we are or not, but when we're feeling that we're at the top of the food chain here, where do you go from there? I mean,
Yeah.
you keep throwing more money at something, and is that really a good use of taxpayer funds? And co-curricular and extracurricular activities are funded solely by taxpayer dollars. So you just have to be cognizant of that.
Well, and, I mean, we have the levy coming up too, so I mean, maybe we can get together before and,
Well, that's the thing with the
Kinda hash
levy
it.
is, you know, I mean, have you been to a football game in the last couple of years?
yeah,
It's changed,
yeah,
and people support winning,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you know, so
Yeah,
if you're
they always
winning
do, yeah.
and you
Winning
have some
cures a lot of
motivation
things. Yeah.
to do better,
Yeah.
then you might, I don't know, the community might support that, you know?
So circling back, since we only have about 35 more minutes, unless we choose to go a little longer, it sounds like we're all in agreement that moving forward, please committee it up, do your due diligence of
Yeah.
whatever you want to bring forward,
Okay,
that there is no change at all with respect to what's in the negotiated agreement for the extracurricular coach salary, extracurricular salary, other than the language
Yeah.
that's been changed,
yeah. With the notion that we're gonna
that everything's,
keep working.
yeah, we'll keep working, but everything is just,
That's why I
Flat.
was talking, I just don't want to be a big heartburn with, I mean, I don't know how, you know, hot, you know, people are about getting it changed.
We'll just
or-
put it at 10% and then bonus from there. Everybody 10% across the
Yeah,
board.
there you go. I like it.
do we
Just
need to
kidding.
thumb up that thing?
Yeah.
Let's give it a thumbs up.
That thing.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Um, so
And then just, if you go up just one more from there, it's the coaches program. I have tons of people all year long asking me, what's the qualification? When do I get another coach? How many kids do I have to have? I've even had ADs contact me, what is the, because you can't ever find anything in Google Docs, but, so I was thinking, is there a way that we could put this, because we got together and the ADs got together and changed it recently, but it kind of stems all from the same thing, but this coaches per program criteria.
Sorry.
It kind of just goes through all the different requirements, and then how, you know, how many coaches per level, what they have to do to get another coach. So my only suggestion with this is I just asked, could we put that in the extracurricular language so that everybody knows and can find it easily?
We could put it in the admin handbook.
Yeah, and I believe that it is in the admin handbook right now.
Isn't it on the frickin' thing? In the IHSS, Idaho High School Association handbook?
No,
No. I
because
think
these
there
are our
is-
internal controls.
I know, but there's a, if you have 10 kids, if you get over 10 kids, you have to have another coach. There's rules. I've seen them.
I think that's a lot like our.
Safety.
I think that falls in the same lines as students in a classroom. They
Is
have
it?
a recommendation number.
Is that what it is, a
Yeah,
recommendation?
it's a recommendation, but it's up to the school boards to decide what they're going to instill. I believe, I could be wrong, but I
Well,
think
and-
that's the case.
And I'm really leaning on the expertise of our administrators and ADs. Several of them actually sit on the board of control for IHSAA for their various divisions, and I don't believe that we're out of compliance with what we have, but we can certainly look into it. For the sake of transparency, you'll note that there's still some comments in that document, because we know that there are still some unanswered questions there that we're working on as well.
You're gonna put roster totals too. So we do have a C team for softball if you only have 5 kids. Does that constitute a C team?
No,
So I
but see,
think-
that's where it kind of goes back to that first conversation we had. You thought you were gonna have 12,
Right.
but
But I think that might be something that we might need to look at.
I did
Just
find
put-
out the
put in
smoke
some-
days
Yeah.
is false.
Yes.
Yeah, if
Fire.
it's for fire, if it's smoky outside, you have to go inside the gym. So they measured the smoke in the gym and outside, and it's the same. It's just you can't see it.
I used to love smelling the bathroom very burning because that always meant two things, football and grouse hunting. It was practice time when you smelled the
Katie's
smoke.
birthday.
So Jason, I'm sorry to ask you to repeat yourself. What was your proposal or request with this?
I just wanted to put it in the negotiated agreement. That was it. I don't want to change anything. I just want it in there under extracurricular so that
It's easy to find,
it's,
people know.
yeah, it's so that
Are
our,
you comfortable with how it is written?
I've been going off of the one we did back in 2021, and then I know the ADs just recently changed stuff, but I believe I looked at it. We can go through it together real quick if you want and see if there's any,
Do you have the one with the 80s drafted?
yeah, it's the
Yeah,
one.
the one that is pulled up right here is the most recent one that we've been
Okay.
working off of.
And this is an administrative procedure that's been followed for the past year.
Yeah. And developed as, not developed, revised as we encountered issues. And so as things came up, we would meet again and say, okay, we ran into this problem, how are we going to address this?
Okay.
Any input from this side? Regarding adding this to the negotiated agreement? I mean, it's in an admin handbook, is that my understanding?
Mhm.
Where is the admin? Is that
Yeah,
published
see, we
on
don't have,
the?
I used to
we don't
look
have
for that.
access to
That's the
any of
thing
that
is that
stuff.
there's
you
things that
should.
we don't have access to, that like everything else is posted, but why are other things not posted on the district website? Like, we don't know like district office administration, the pay scale, like there's just pay scales
Those
that
pay
aren't on
scales,
there.
they're on the
This is-
website.
The admin?
Yes.
And we just recently made that change in the
Okay.
last couple of months, so you're not.
Okay,
you
I'm like,
didn't miss anything.
because
Um,
that's been asked and that's. hasn't
Yeah,
been.
and then, so something like this, I totally appreciate the conversation about it going into the negotiated agreement because it impacts somebody's working environment and all of that. The admin handbook itself is very, I mean, it's administrative procedures that the general public doesn't really have any.
Need
It sounds
to
hard,
know,
yeah,
or-
need to know. I was gonna say business looking at, but that sounds kind of harsh. It really is just our internal, how we operate for different things. And it's been like that for a long time. I don't have an issue with adding this language to the negotiated agreement.
I
I
think
just
it
think for
needs
transparency, it would be nice.
roster sizes and things added to it.
Yeah, I think Jess is right in, like, I'm looking at C, D, E. Some of those sports we haven't actually put a ratio to, or roster sizes. And so there's probably a little bit of working on this that still needs to be done. However, we could add it to the negotiated agreement, kind of in good faith that we're going to finish that work and get it completed.
But could we sign the negotiated agreement if this document's not complete?
So I mean, I guess my question is, I mean, does it really need to be in the negotiated agreement? But where else would somebody be able to access it? Because, as you said, that it's come up in conversation. How do I know when we get another coach? Like what are the numbers? And it's just because nobody knows.
And then all of a sudden.
And then there's no place to go find it. But if there's a living document,
Yeah.
like where could that
Well,
document reside? I
the
think
other-
it's not necessarily that we're requiring that it be in the negotiated agreement, just like
Somewhere.
it needs to reside somewhere that
Yeah.
coaches, staff have access
that we-
to see it.
We can plainly see that everything is consistent
Yes.
based on that procedure.
Mhm.
Can you do a reference in the footnote?
Because, yeah, right now it's like, well, how come they get this, but other people don't? And then there's a secret document somewhere, like, that's how people view it, because there's not transparency with that. If
Maybe
it's
we
in
can
an admin
certainly-
handbook, then nobody knows what's in it.
Yeah.
Is there a spot in district policy that it could go? Or is it something that, I guess my point is, you don't want one coach or one administrator doing something, and I think you mentioned we changed some things because of some issues. Well, that's the whole reason why I kind of wanted it in there. It's kind of to make sure that process is followed.
Consistency.
And then there's no argument, well, just because somebody was very good at negotiating, with you or the board or whatever, now they get an extra coach, but the other school doesn't get that, and I hope that never happens, but it has happened in the past, and I guess that's why.
Well, it has, because we have.
I think you're correct in saying that it should be in policy, because then it can be visited every year. And as things change, like it can be a living document, right? So that when things change, it can be updated, whereas if it gets stuck in the negotiated agreement, it's like there. And if you run into something, but in policy, I think that's a good idea, because we have policy on other things like school clubs and, different things like that. So I do think that would be a good spot for it, is to be in, and then everybody would know where it is, it'd be on the website, everybody would have access. The admin handbook, I think, is actually attached to one of
This is interesting.
agendas, if I'm not mistaken, because the board did look through it, approve it, whatever it was. So it is in there somewhere in board book.
So 3800 is philosophy and code of interscholastic
Okay.
activities.
Yeah. I knew there was something
There's
out there for it.
3400, which is
Oh, yeah,
drug
school
testing.
sponsored, yeah.
Yeah.
We have some already, then maybe we can just slide it in that have to do with school activities,
You're up.
student activities, extracurricular activities.
So with
Yeah,
that,
that would be perfect.
okay. That
I mean,
would be-
in
Okay.
my brain, are we thumbs up in that?
Okay, perfect.
Included in policy.
You guys review every policy, every single year?
Oh, we have
No, when we first came.
I know you have a list.
Yeah.
It's a very long.
That's not what I
list.
said.
We do
Because you
have
said
a
we
list
look at them
Eventually,
anyway
it will
every
be
year.
every policy.
We can reference it like we
There you
did
go.
with the other one where this is referenced, it's cross-referenced
Trying to
between
see
the
the light at the
policy
end of the
and the
tunnel there.
negotiated
But
agreement.
we have a list that we do go over annually, we can add that to it.
Yeah.
Now, when we first came, I think the most up-to-date, there was one passed in 2016, but most of them hadn't been touched since the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah,
one-
they were really outdated, like
And
the
then-
laws didn't even
Yeah.
exist anymore.
But so then, like, if something comes up to where, it gets presented to Jake that we need to add something or take something out,
And that can come
then he could
anytime.
come to a board meeting,
Yeah.
and then you could make those changes. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that can happen anytime, it doesn't have to wait for a particular
Yeah,
thing.
I like that. Thank you.
Things should be up to date and.
I think Colleen was the one that brought it up, that was a good idea.
Okay, so
I don't know, no, I think it was Connie. It was, I'm like, how would it happen? I don't know.
Oh, Connie.
Maybe Connie's.
Connie's fault.
Other than that, I think the only other thing is
We'll talk
anti-junk.
later.
Okay, can I talk about dual
Oh.
credit?
Oh, yes,
Real
I
quick?
forgot about dual credit, I'm sorry.
Okay, so where we left off with dual credit was we were gonna go back and evaluate how much the district had to spend to support students who were in those courses. At this point, either we don't have the data, or the data is lacking enough to not really support any changes at this time. And so that makes it pretty easy to move forward, just because I don't think that there's a justification if we are to meet the spirit of the agreement to make any changes.
Okay.
So I don't
What's
even think
the-
that needs a thumbs up.
Can I ask
Yeah.
why we don't have the data?
Well, part of why we don't have the data, and I'm going to try to do this justice, Mr. Ryder spoke to this last meeting, a lot of the courses are concurrent. And so, which means that, like, there are 30 kids in the class, 5 of them might be dual credit students, but the rest are just on a normal high school track. We have not separated out the cost of educating one student versus the other in those concurrent classes. And so that's a piece of it. The other piece is we either haven't needed more money, like there has not been any additional cost associated to the student, or the supplies needed to teach that dual credit class were covered within or very, very close to the amount of supplies that were granted to the school through the payment that they're already receiving.
Okay.
So all that to say, I feel like with the evidence that we have right now, the program is cost neutral. I will say that the other thing that I did discover is that what is keeping it cost neutral is the order in which we pay the bills, so to say. Okay, and so I think that's why it has not been cost neutral in the past, even though that's not anybody's fault at the table, because it was always agreed upon that it would be cost neutral. But the order in which the bills are paid matters. And so we will continue to pay the bills like we did this year, where we are covering those student needs first, using the remaining funds to evaluate the 77%.
77 or 70?
77%.
And so in this discussion, though, you are not factoring in any of the money that we're bringing in extra, the $89,000 that the four of us that teach for NIC, for facility funds from NIC, that's not being factored in the conversation, right?
No, it is not being factored in. So it is cost neutral just with the per pupil payment from NIC.
Because we're also bringing in a lot of extra money too,
Well,
for facility
that,
use.
in all fairness, that's only been the last year.
Right.
So
But even
it's not
prior-
like it's been flowing from day one. So, and having not been cost neutral, gone into a deficit, where now we've actually helped right the wrongs, and we are cost neutral. Because before there was no compensation for wear and tear, there was nothing. It was just cost per student. And we were going into the deficit on that. We don't have any information to support that, but that's what we have repeatedly been told.
I guess because I've been a part of the conversation and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here because I wasn't here for that conversation, but every year, like, we've had this conversation, we were told that it was budget neutral, and so, from the district office, and so we're trying to figure out why you guys have been told differently, that it was actually costing money.
Well, unfortunately, without data.
Right.
I mean,
So we're just gonna start tracking that? Is that what we're?
It's
should
being
be
tracked,
tracking
and that's
that.
how we know that it was over. The person that was calculating it before wasn't taking into the full account of benefits, and so that's why it was not cost neutral. And so that has been corrected. It is cost neutral.
So how much does a teacher get for
Like $30-some a kid,
$30-some a
a
kid?
semester. If it's a semester.
Or like a class?
It's like, so I had 102 students and I think I'll get maybe 30.
And you get,
After taxes and all of it, maybe a little, like maybe 3,500 for the semester.
So this is this fall.
Just because it'll take me a while to get.
Yeah, no, you're fine. And this is in order.
Facilities, like, this would be the salary,
Yeah, I
the
never knew
stipend,
it was
cost of the
costing us
benefit,
either.
cost of the district, and then that's the
I was always,
77%.
at IBB, we were always
so
told
we
that
get
it was
77% or they get
neutral, that
77%?
it always covered
They get the
itself.
77, so we
Yeah,
get-
that's,
Because
yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Ronnie. I mean,
yes.
that's,
I mean, I do, I
that's-
remember. we would
last
have
week
that
I was
discussion.
a little frustrated because I'm like, we have been told
Yeah.
every
No, I
year.
wasn't there last
year.
year, but I remember prior conversations, we were always told that those were a wash, you know, they like, it didn't matter because they were just a wash. So I don't know, but if she's saying after looking and she's found lots of mistakes, we all were under impression something happened.
77%
Or it was
what's
done a
left
certain
over.
way, and then after running the numbers, it just wasn't done that way. So that could happen, but I have to agree with you guys, I do remember that.
Well, and then there's other, I don't know, it's
Well-
involved, but we also, like, our counselors register kids that are homeschooled, and, I mean, so then we end up getting extra for that, and, I mean, there's a lot to this with the funding.
Well, thanks for doing it, due diligence, and if you find out anything that's not kosher or doesn't meet what we have set up, then let us know. 'Cause
Yeah, and again, I do want to just reiterate, like I said last time, the spirit of bringing this up is really just to make sure that we're in alignment with the agreement that we signed with NIC.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate the discussion. Okay.
That's an easy
Now,
one.
I just,
IBB, or not IBB.
Yes,
language
the
for
anti-union
union bill.
language. Well, that's how it was all presented, the anti-union bill. Now it's law.
Okay. Jason, can you remind me, do you have that linked into your?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
Yes, it's not, it's
It's
actually
all on
under,
the
it's under the non-budgetary items
Okay, so that must be working.
on the agenda.
Okay.
Underneath the IBB working draft of the negotiated agreement, there's one that says note.
Bradbury Union. This is a lot. 4 pages. Which.
So just to give you guys some background, I did not create this. Paul Stark used to be the attorney for, he still is involved in the Idaho Education Association, but as co-counsel, but he used to be the attorney. He worked with our current attorney right now, and then with the ISBA and other school districts across the state. They went over time and time again, held many meetings to try to come up with verbiage that worked for everyone. He also had superintendents involved in his cabinet, and it's kind of, they went at it as looking at it as not something that the union wants to put in and establish, but something that we need to do to work together so that none of us get in trouble, type of a thing. We want to make sure that we're following the state statute first and foremost as how it is. The statute itself, from what I'm hearing from all the lawyers involved, were that it's very poorly written and there's a lot of interpretation. And so they spent many hours trying to decipher and going through their own council meetings to figure out. And then this is what they came up with for us to present.
To protect all sides,
Yeah.
all parties, yes,
Union
because
and,
districts can get in trouble for doing things not the right way as well.
So our biggest thing is
So-
just, we need to know what the do's and don'ts are, so that we move forward that, one, I don't want to have to pay a fine for any member, and I'm sure you don't want to have to pay a fine for, Jake overstepping or somebody, some other staff principal, overstepping and doing things. And so I don't know how we attack this, just paragraph by paragraph or section by section, and
That's
then
right.
we can talk about it. It is a working document, so if there's anything that you guys don't agree with, then we need to try to figure that out, or what.
So then, with respect to the small section that we have for association leave, would that be being struck? And then we would have a segment for union?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll strike it out. I know what to do.
Yes, my question is, has the district's legal counsel looked at the document and talked to them about adding it to?
she's the lawyer for everybody,
The
so she's probably already seen it.
Yeah, she,
Maybe.
in
I
fact,
personally brought this to our council.
who's the district, who's your district lawyer?
Well, we have two different, well,
Megan
Megan would
O'Dowd.
be.
I know,
I would much rather
She would
this
be
go
local,
through
but,
Anderson, Julian, and Paul.
yeah, it would need to go through them because they would actually be the representation if something like this
I'm
would
just, because
happen.
I know, who are the names in that one?
That would have been Anderson, Julian, and Hall.
Amy White.
Amy
Amy,
White.
Amy White worked with Paul
Yeah.
Stark on this.
And Brett, yeah.
She
I mean,
was
there's a-
involved in a lot of those
Yeah,
meetings. 'cause-
there's a lot of them, but I
Yeah.
would feel more comfortable if they said, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Then we can always go back and say,
100
oh, you said,
no,
oh, no, sure,
No,
no
and
problem.
yeah, I was gonna mention that as well. I want it to be checked by your team and your people. I do know that she was involved in those because that was kind of the goal of Paul Stark, was to make sure he wasn't gonna overstep. He wanted to make sure this is something consistent throughout the state of Idaho for all the school districts, to make sure that.
Right,
we're
because
all-
it wouldn't matter, like you said, even if it was a teacher thing, a union, it would still be the district. So it wouldn't
Yeah.
even, I mean, they would be the representation covering the matter.
Right.
If
You
if
know?
it helps, Amy White has said that to us, that she was working with the IEA on this.
Really, the biggest thing
How is
is,
that even?
I think we need to establish a couple of things, start and end times for schools. So, because right now, I need to know when I can access a school to talk to the principal or stuff for my union issues. If there's a problem with the school. Now, I've already gotten a lot of feedback from principals and through their research as well. It doesn't make much sense to, for us to meet always after contract. So like if, let's say there's an issue at Twin Lakes Elementary and they're at school until, 4 o'clock or 4:15, that principal's not necessarily wanting to start a brand new meeting at 4:30 just because it's anti-union. So what they did is they brought in extra ways that we can do that to basically earn time, to where that principal can say, well, Jason, you can meet with me. School's actually done at 3:15. Let's meet at 3:20. We would document that meeting time. But then, since that's really public school contract time until 4 o'clock, then I would have to owe that 45 minutes basically as comp time, to where I would have to come in and make sure that I'm spending 45 minutes, so that you make up that time, so that you're not using taxpayer dollars, and not documenting your time,
Right.
if that makes sense. So like right now, our lunch times are considered, free time, and so I could actually meet somebody on their lunch time, and it not affect anything. By rights, I can do that. So again, I don't really know how we go about it. If you guys just want to go through it together, or if you want to take it and see what Amy thinks, and if she's okay with it, then,
Well, I don't know that it would be Amy. I mean, we have others that we've dealt with.
well, yeah, whoever.
But, I mean, like the representation, I don't have any problem with that, because I believe everybody's entitled to that. If there's something going on, I mean, I would never be one to say no and deny somebody representation. That's just not.
And the biggest thing too is like where, like the meeting time. So, we're, from what I've been told in going through this, we're still allowed, we can still use a school district facility, because
Right.
we offer our facilities to any outside organization,
right.
right? Now, if you charge everybody for that, then we would be required to pay that as well. So like if we ever hold like a general meeting and we want to do it during, on a Saturday or something, then we would do a facility use, and I would fall under that same, requirement. So I know one of the big things that people were talking about is like, usually we do like on our back to school breakfast that we have, our back to school meeting, we always have a booth out there.
Right.
We can still have that booth, but what I need to make sure happens is the minute our meeting starts at 8 o'clock, there's no active union member in that booth, that we're all in that meeting. Because then that would be,
Right.
paying taxpayer
Right,
dollars, that'd be above and beyond that. And so, and then I would have to make sure that we, break that table down after school hours, or we would do the compensation, package where, that we have. But there's a lot of little intricacies that, But I'm a rule follower, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right, because I don't want it to ever come back, you know, and I want the board to be able to say, you know, no, we're not letting our union use our schools, or we're not letting them use your taxpayer dollars to do this. They're following the guidelines as presented.
Yeah, and it's so new to everybody. It's
Right.
like how, I mean, you know, just documenting it all, and then it would have to go to Brooke, and then she would have to make sure that whoever's flex time or whatever was used was taken. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
But like right now, it's under, you know, your Lakeland School District policy, you know, that like union members can use facilities, we can use our computers. We can't use our computers though to do union business. Somebody though, a member or non-member, they have the right to use a school computer and say, hey, Jason, how did negotiations go last night? Because that's not a union issue, that's an employee wanting to know information about a district event. And so we're free to do things like that, but if I send an email on the school computer that says, we're gonna have a meeting tonight in my room at, 4 o'clock after school, well, now I'm using taxpayer dollars on taxpayer, or on my time, or on school district time. And so those are the things that I can't do anymore. And so I have to make it clear that our members are only contacting me, off school hours, off contract time, and on their own personal devices, if it has to do with issue-related union work, the way I understand it.
I'm curious. I have too many tabs open, I can't. It seems like all of this explanations of can and can'ts with respect to union activity actually should be in a policy, not in the negotiated agreement. However, we should be able to take some form of a synopsis about what was in the negotiated agreement for union leave or whatever, and pare it down to be like, here's what we get.
And reference it.
Yeah, I mean, because this actually seems more like policy language, not negotiated agreement material, so to speak.
And then just reference the policy like we do the others.
Yeah.
Now, and maybe I need to get further clarification from our team as well, but their recommendation is for this to go into the negotiated agreement.
Okay.
So
I do think that we should have a policy too, though. I
Yeah,
don't
me too.
remember if we're required to or not, but with something that, that,
Well, from my perspective, if it's a policy, the public can access it.
Right.
And they can see it, and we are supporting the fact that, we're abiding by the law.
Yeah.
If it's
And they
just in
need
the
to be able to do
negotiated,
that.
well, if it's just in the negotiated agreement, not everybody knows where to go to look to try and find that.
Right.
So if it's policy, then you just go look for the policies, and I don't think I would title it the anti-union bill, but we'll pick a title.
Well, you just do the statute number or whatever the statute's called.
whatever the bill is.
So,
named.
yeah. But it wasn't named the anti-union.
Well, and we shouldn't be stating the bill, we should be stating the actual
The law.
statute when,
Oh,
because
No, I mean
the
the
bill is
name.
the pre.
The name of the policy, instead of
Right.
saying the anti-union policy, you would say.
That's how it's always been. I mean, I
Whatever
haven't
it
heard
was.
one other thing other than what is that.
I laughed when I first saw that.
If this was looking for a policy and then referenced in the negotiated agreement, like we did the sick leave bank, where there's language that it wouldn't be updated other than with L.E.A. input, would that work for you?
I believe it would. I would want to check just to be sure, but I would think that would be just fine.
What was that? What did you say, Jake? I'm sorry, I was trying
Oh, no,
to-
you're okay. If we put language in the negotiated agreement that just referenced the policy that is
Yeah.
written.
Okay.
Here's my concern, we're trying to get this policy passed and completed and finished, or the negotiated agreement finished. We're not gonna have a policy written before that, so we need to have something in the negotiated agreement at this point for this year.
Because July
To-
1.
Right, and that's what I'm
Yes.
saying is,
Yes.
we're not gonna have a policy in place to even reference in this year's negotiated agreement.
So I sent an email to all our members today, just reminding them of July 1, that, I don't know, I can't control what they're doing, if they're going into their classrooms or whatever, but and now that we're on summer, it's not considered time, but if they're doing union stuff on a school computer, even in the summertime, that could be a gray area there. And so I just wanted to make sure, I told them July 1, make sure if all communication has to be through a home account or private, cell phone or something.
Sure.
Just because I want to make sure that, because we don't, starting July 1, we could be in violation if I email Jake and talk to him about union stuff. I can do that at home on my own time, but, he's really not supposed to be answering anti-union stuff either.
Right.
Or anti-union,
Just
union
union
stuff.
stuff.
So,
We'll just call it the anti-union.
yeah.
Well, and that's different, because that's difficult, because that forces the superintendent to do work outside of the scope of his contract.
And the
And
principals.
the principals, yes.
So that's why they came up with the compensation, the
Comp time.
the comp time,
Comp time.
so that they wouldn't have to do that. And by law, you can do that. You just have to make sure it's kosher. If I meet with Jake, my school gets out at 2 o'clock. I'm supposed to be there till 2:45 or 3 o'clock. If I meet with Jake anytime before then I have to make up that time on my own in my classroom. And
But
it
our
has-
superintendent doesn't have time, doesn't have working hours.
Well, and I would also argue that it would be the superintendent's job to have that conversation. And so for the superintendent or for anyone in the district office, it's not union business, it's business.
Right,
Yeah.
because
And
the
it's the
superintendent,
association that's doing the
Right.
collective bargaining, not the
But
district.
I
Right.
would fall in violation then. So that's where it would have to be,
Yeah.
and you guys would have, as long as you guys are okay with him doing that, by stating that,
well,
then,
he's not represented by the union,
yeah.
so therefore he sort of doesn't apply. The other thing is, I think from their point of view, is that it's a voluntary thing. You don't have to belong to the union, and if you choose to do this extra thing, then you do it like everything else on your own time.
Right,
That was their
yeah.
idea of it,
Yeah.
And being that the superintendent, or anybody in the office, somebody came in and said, hey, the IBB that we did, can you give me a copy? Yeah, you're gonna give them a copy, it's part of their contract,
It's you, yeah.
Or if they had a question, I don't think that it would preclude them from answering a question that pertains to their contract.
You're right, yeah.
'Cause
It
it-
is
it's
just
just
business. It's
Right,
just
yeah.
district business from this side.
Right.
And then really what the taxpayers need to know is just that, they're not spending any money on union. The district gives us 22 days a year to do union activities.
Right.
There's 10 or 11 of us every year that take a Friday off to go to delegate assembly. We're still asking for those 22 days, but now if we use those, we have to pay the district for them. What the LEA has done is they've changed delegate assembly. Instead of Friday, Saturday, it's now Saturday, Sunday. And then if people want to leave, they can take personal days. If they want to leave early or come back a day late, they can take personal leave. We still need to leave the amount of days in there though, just in case something changes that we can have the opportunity to leave, but we would be paying for, and it's not just sub pay, it's paying for that your time out, so it'd be 1/190th, a daily rate of pay for being gone.
So then where it is association leave, you're now saying we need to leave that language in there.
Yes, the days, the amount of days,
So-
but the district will no longer be required to pay for the sub.
So
But you still want to
maximum-
make sure it's guaranteed that the district would
Yeah,
grant you
yeah, I
those
still-
days.
yeah, and-
We would just be
Yes,
reimbursed.
and then there's other days like the Day on the Hill. I believe sometimes that's like on a Friday. Friday, Saturday, and so those are other days where we have in there. There's been some times where I've needed to take a half a day because we have a big issue that we're dealing with, a staff and a principal, and so I do need to take those, that time, and so that's just kind of, that allows the district to say, yeah, we're gonna allow up to 22 days for union business, but the caveat is,
It's not at the
district-
expense of
yeah,
the
the district's not paying for it, it's, the union will pay for it.
Okay,
So-
so paragraph C states the district will pay the cost of hiring a substitute for those association days that are to attend regularly scheduled official meetings of the State Teachers Association as prescribed by Idaho Code. The L.E.A. will pay the cost of hiring a substitute guest teacher for additional association days approved by the superintendent. So, we need to either strike that or reword it so that it is meeting.
I have under mine, the Bradbury Union representation, under section 7, the verbiage says the union shall be granted 22 days of union leave. Such leave shall be paid to the district at the daily rate plus benefits. Flex time, volunteer time, and personal leave donation time cannot be credited towards the use of union leave. So one way that our staff could get away for it, they could use a personal day. The law even says, I would never ask our staff to do this, but they say that our staff could actually donate a personal leave day to do union work. I would never ask our people to give up a personal day so that I can go attend a union activity. So yeah, so that section 7 would be added to that.
Okay,
So moving forward, I mean, it's after 8 o'clock right now. Do we want to go through this language and get it done so we have something to put into the negotiated agreement? I am worried that the alternative, our next scheduled meeting is tomorrow. The alternative, if we want to go back to our legal counsel with this first, would just take longer than the 20 hours or so that we would have to be prepared for the next meeting. Are we comfortable just getting it done tonight is what I'm asking, going through the language?
well, I guess in adding this language to the negotiated agreement, why is it that we can't just create a policy reference? I mean, I guess I don't understand, because
I think
why
reference
does
the law.
this?
Because we have to have this negotiated agreement done before we could have a policy in place to reference a policy. That was my concern.
And we're being highly advised, right? That it needs to
Well,
go
it starts
into-
it starts July 1st, and so we need to know.
It'd be better to have
So
something
the
on the books
union
by
rights
then.
start July 1st?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this law goes into effect
July 1.
July 1.
And when do we have to have our negotiations?
We
Back
can,
in May.
you can, it can take
When-
as long
whenever it's
as,
done.
there's school districts right now that have just settled for the previous years.
Right.
I mean, so there's really no, it's, as long as we keep working, and there's nothing to say.
If it's not in the negotiated agreement right now, and if we don't have a policy right now, we follow statute as best as we can, effective July 1.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the law is still the law,
Mhm.
you know? And I think everybody's pretty much done their due diligence to, you know, come up with a plan. You know, the best, I mean, it's the first time out the door. Everybody's gonna be working through, there's gonna be so many questions and, I mean, I would assume there'd be even more legal action, to tell you the truth, so we'll see. I just don't see that it's gonna be out the door in never come up again.
If we just go through, I mean, so like section 1, this is all basically just verbiage and what you can meet on. It's the stuff that we do anyway. So there's really, I don't think there would be any heartburn from either side on any of this. It just says what the union can do, it's what allowed to do, and it's the stuff that we're already doing. So there's really not, there's the code, so it's in accordance with Idaho Code 33-1277. The union may exercise any of the above caption rights in any of the following conditions, or if any of the following conditions are met.
So maybe we, instead of referencing a policy before we have a policy in place, maybe we just reference Idaho code for the time being.
But I think the problem with that everybody was having is that the code is very vague.
And there's a lot of interpretation that I just don't feel comfortable. I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want our district to get in trouble. Right? I mean, ultimately, I would feel comfortable if you would show this to your lawyer and see what they think. I mean, and that's going to take time. I don't know if we can do it by July 1. I don't know what their availability is.
I believe we could.
But it might also be a conversation, because maybe people, whoever you're going to get a hold of, maybe they're already savvy and they've been working with either the ISBA or with Paul Stark. And maybe they just say, yeah, I've seen the language, it's good to go, or I'd like, to add this,
Or
or.
just put it in an email and send it to them and say, hey, blah, 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 can you look at this? I mean, can't we do that? Just send it to Brett?
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I can't even pull the code out.
It's because you're not typing.
Yes, I will do that right now.
Maybe. But I typed in the code, it doesn't exist in the official database.
No, not till the first
Yeah, so it
July
probably
1.
won't be in there until.
So we can't even look at it.
Well, you can go pull the House bill.
Yeah, you just gotta pull the bill instead of the code.
It's
745.
So I don't know, I mean, I know we want to get done. I don't know, what do you recommend?
Is that the last?
I
I
believe that.
think this is the last item.
Okay.
I mean, that would put us meeting again.
Well,
Not tomorrow. We could meet.
Do we have to meet, or could there be an email thread that says we've checked with the lawyer, she's good with, or we're good with it?
If
Do it
As
agree
written.
to it contingent upon attorney approval?
Well, and I want to be clear, what are we agreeing to? That it's being approved by the attorney, then going into policy, then being referenced?
Well, I think it should go into the negotiated agreement first.
Decision without a meeting. We can't.
Oh, you can't, oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the trustees can't
In
make
trouble.
decisions in email. It has to be in a public forum.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, but what's being proposed is that the decision would be made tonight, pending the attorney's approval. So we
That-
wouldn't be,
Yeah, if they say, yep, go ahead, put it in there.
So if I email the attorney
As long
the
as the
document
attorneys
tonight
agree
and
with
ask
it.
if they approve putting it into the negotiated agreement, and he responds to me and says, yes, go ahead, proceed, what I would then do is respond to all of you and let you know that yay or nay,
It's been,
if that would be,
it's gotten the seal of approval from.
and we would have already
So
thumbs
it's
up as a
already, you're
group
already
that
voted on
that's,
it
that we're okay.
contingent upon the approval of the attorney?
with the understanding that if there was anything the attorney wanted the trustees to discuss or think about,
Then we have to
that
come
we
back.
would have to come back to the table.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that if you guys are.
Okay.
I'm good.
And it, just for clarification, so then it would go into the negotiated agreement, at least for this year.
That's what
And
I'm
then there
hearing.
would be time later
create the
to
policy.
create the policy, and then next year we can reevaluate how, maybe we take it out and just reference the policy.
So there wouldn't necessarily be a need to go back to Paul and ask for clarification on that?
No.
Okay.
Now, Brooke would be the one that would be tasked with tracking all of this and moving everybody's hours around. And so, I mean, do you have any input?
It would be me alongside of payroll.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
there'll
guys are
have
all
to be
right with
some
that?
sort of document created.
See, and that's
that-
another thing of, yeah, we're not supposed to use
Right.
our time to, or district time.
I mean, how, yeah, that's the thing, is how, see, according to this, it would have to be, I mean, how do they use the time if they're not, payroll or Brooke isn't actually doing it? I don't understand that.
Well, I think the way that I see it at least is if it's an interaction that requires payment, we're already processing a leave request. So there wouldn't really be any additional work being done there by either the employee or the district office. And then anything that they're just flexing their time on is tracked at the building level and then just turned in for accountability. And so please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't mean to speak for you, Brooke, but I think that we have some
It would just be
processes that would-
done the same way that
It's-
it would be done if
it's-
it wasn't.
It's business that's already been taken care of.
Okay.
Well, don't we kind of do an honor system anyway? I mean, we have in our buildings some flexibility, maybe we shouldn't have.
Just needs to be documented, so if
So
any
documented,
taxpayer,
okay.
any taxpayer
Correct.
comes and
Yes.
says, I heard
Okay.
Jason Bradbury was at
Okay.
I think
Betty
we have
Kiefer
enough to
Elementary
talk
at
about.
2:30, and they're not done until 3:15 on contract, you know, what's going on, then we can prove that there's flex time there. The principal's agreed to it, both principals. My principal has agreed that I will give that extra time at a later date. That principal agreed that their employee will do the same, and now it's covered. And so you can say, nope, it's all legit. Here's the documentation,
The
and
tick and the tie from both sides.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
that's how I understand it. And once we pass this, then Jake, I'd like to work with you and go over this, maybe with a fine tooth comb and make
Well,
sure that
and
we're.
like with the coaches, it will require some administrative procedures on how we're gonna track it internally
Yeah.
and how often that's gonna be turned in.
Well, you can't do that. That's what I'm saying, is how are we gonna report if we're not allowed to use the hours, school's in session, and a
You can't-
constituent comes and
through-
says, well, how do you know that they did that? Well, because da-da-da-da, it's like, oh, well, that all happened during school.
We're not tracking it. It's gonna be on the LEA.
I know, but how do
Um,
we prove to,
By that document that says Jason came in at 2:15, is going to flex, is going to have 45 minutes of flex time to have this meeting. And then the other document would be from my principal saying Jason spent 45 minutes on Thursday night after his contract time, making up his time when he was at Betty Kiefer or something.
I think it's gonna be on the LEA members and leaders to track that, not on district office to track it. If they come to us asking for it, go to the LEA. We don't
right,
track
that's what I'm
that.
asking, is
Yeah.
how do we prove that?
Send it to the
It's like-
LEA. Send them to the LEA to talk to them
The
about
LEA would
it.
be
We don't track it.
Responsible, right?
Yeah.
We would get fined.
Yep.
But in a sense, a principal could get fined if they come into, if they come into my school after my school's done at 2:00 and want to talk about a teacher or union business, then now it's reversed. Now it's on them and not me because they're taking up my time. And so they would, ultimately them or that teacher, whoever came in, would have to flex it out.
Well, the bottom line is the public can't be sent to you because the public comes to the board. The board is the one that answers to the public, right? The public can't come, we can't have the public going into all the schools now demanding
Yeah.
what the union did. I don't know, I have a lot of questions.
I guess that's what I mean about sitting down with Jason and
Yeah.
working out what the administrative procedure would be, because in my mind, this would look like a quarterly report or a monthly report or whatever we agree on, that they do track. It requires no effort from us, but it gets turned in on a regular interval so that we do have that record.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it, granted, will require some work up front. And so
Right.
that might be a bit of a gray area if we're not supposed to work on that during the workday, but it would set us up to comply in the long term.
Well, we have to have some.
Do it in the
kind
next
of
week.
admin
Yeah.
procedure.
Create it in the next week
Yeah.
before
Got
July
it.
1.
Yes.
The good news is, we're in summer, so none of this will really even, we have time to think about all
Pressure's
that,
low
because
for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Are we in agreement about how we're gonna move forward?
Yep, so,
Thumbs up?
yep,
All right.
Dave?
I already did it. I did it fast.
Yeah, I did.
I spent probably 3 hours of my own time looking for a giant foam thumb. There's a number 1, but I want a thumb.
It might be a custom item.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else?
I bet one of
I just want to
FCC
confirm,
big
because
teachers.
Nope,
it's
you
not
can't.
up there, but I did strike paragraph C under the association leave and add paragraph D, which is actually technically now C, about the granted 22 days. Oh, wait, no, it's up there at the top. Why?
Well, and ultimately, it'll all just get put in, so you can just copy and paste all of it right in there.
Well, but that whole thing about the union is not
Right,
about
right.
association leave. It's about union business
Right.
and how it's conducted. So there needs to be, I guess, if we're adding that entire thing into the agreement, a section for union business to include all of that. But then under association leave, because you're still at the 22 days.
Yeah,
Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So would you not include the language that is already included, section 7 on the union days?
I have to go back to that meeting. No, I copied that over onto the negotiated agreement, but what I think, where's the working draft? I think this, I don't think there needs to be a section D. I think the union shall be granted 22 days of union leave. That just needs to go away, and the remaining of that paragraph just needs to tag on to the bottom portion of the first paragraph. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we're still,
About
are
how
we
it'd
still
be-
doing the request to the immediate supervisor, L.E.A. president, and superintendent at least 1 week in advance? Is that still protocol, given the rules? No, okay. So, because there's
Yeah,
a
because.
lot of superintendent involvement in the
Yeah.
association leave, I think there really should be different language. But it sounds like,
Any leave should have to follow standard procedure of what you do anyway, so.
well, it was.
Yeah.
Maybe used by the L.E.A. member for association leave, a request to the immediate supervisor, L.E.A. president, and superintendent must be made at least 1 week in advance of the leave. Such leave shall be paid to the district at the daily rate plus benefits, flex time, volunteer time, and personal leave donation time can all be credited towards the use of association leave. That was part of section.
So basically, it says the same thing it used to, except
Yeah.
for then. So
Yeah.
at least everybody's getting a heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure y'all knew that I did that because it's not
Thank
up
you.
there on the board.
So A will remain.
All of it will remain, the whole document will just.
Well, I guess I'm looking at the working draft of the
Oh, okay.
negotiated agreement
Mhm.
where Michelle was working. So, under association leave, I can see where you added that language. A will remain there. B will remain there.
And C was struck.
C was struck, but then that is where you would insert the rest of Jason's document.
Yes.
For union activity?
For union activity.
Oh, all right.
Under the heading
That's
of
my question, is
association leave.
I think that's what we've been talking about.
Okay.
Or if you think
My-
it needs to go somewhere else. That's why at the very top I wrote Article XX, or they wrote that because you can put it anywhere you want, or create
No, I
another
understand
subheading.
Sure.
But I think because it's specific to union rights, it's not necessarily association leave. So it should also say association rights. not
Oh.
union.
Its own.
Yeah, but I think it's its own segment
Its own
of the
section.
document.
Yeah.
Because it's, It's
the rest of the
it's
language-
encompassing everything,
But the
not
rest of the
just
language
leave.
would come in its
Right.
entirety.
Right, because I think the leave portion is doing the trips,
Yep.
Yes.
Gotcha.
not specific to just union business, where the document, I think, is specific to union business. Two different things.
Fair.
My thoughts. You can go wherever you want to put it.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to make sure that we were,
Yeah, no,
All on the same page.
yeah, my understanding would, it would be its own section. Okay.
okay.
So I did have Sarah email.
It's been sent.
Perfect.
Okay.
So we, sounds like we have an agreement once confirmation comes back from the attorney.
And I will email all of you at the table once I have confirmation.
Okay.
And then,
Thank you,
so
sir.
then Jessica, then we'll need to get the proposal and package.
I sent it to these guys just to double check me that
Okay.
it's ready.
And so then once I have that, what I'm gonna provide a day or two for, I mean, summer's really hard because people are everywhere. Our Constitution does say I can do a vote electronically, and so that's a good thing. But I want to provide a day or two where our members can come in and ask questions and gripe about why they're not getting a raise and seeing any frozen steps. And then, once I have those meetings, then I'll put it out to a vote, and it'll go for, I don't know how long, 3 or 4 days, and then hopefully we get it ratified, and I'll let you know.
I think everybody's probably in the waiting, you know, they'll probably be paying attention. I know a lot of the districts right now are still doing
Yeah,
business.
Well, our next regular meeting is July 22nd.
okay.
So, oh no, July 15th, not the 22nd.
Okay, so yeah, I will try to have it all done by then.
Just forego that meeting.
Who's on the calendar today?
And then too, you know, I mean, I don't know what the state, you know, I know the state's getting a lot of negative feedback about not adding any, and so I'm really hoping they step up, but, I mean, I'm so worried that, I mean, so it's gonna take about $1 million for us to give a step. Well, now that we're frozen, we're talking at least $2 million next year to get out of it. And that's $2 million extra that we're supposed to get you know, and so I'm just, it's scary.
I'll say, based on the conversation with IASBO and the state board last week, the feeling is a little bit that they feel like the funding formula needs to be addressed before any additional funding is put into education. So there's a lot of work being done now and throughout the summer and the fall to hopefully go into the legislative session next year with that dialed in.
So maybe go back to enrollment versus.
That is the number one recommendation that's coming in right now, but I mean, there's so many things that
Yeah,
need
they
to
have
be
some
addressed
variations with
Yeah.
it and stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's just-
Even if funding on enrollment, it still doesn't fully fund the district for operations. It doesn't fund any district in the state for operations, and so that's the conversation.
Doesn't fund any facility.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
At all.
Dumb.
As well be meeting in the parks.
I mean, I think the feedback at the first listening session, there was an article in the paper about it that just really truly, like, it doesn't foot the bill. We're last in education, and
Will
we
that
don't
be
want to be
addressed
there.
by IASBO later this week at all?
We have our conference this week.
Right.
I don't know that it'll be addressed. There was a survey
Okay.
that went out to
If you need to
leadership,
there's an executive session.
business managers, superintendents,
Just
things like that.
emotional.
That's being provided to the state. The state asked us to
died.
survey.
Good.
So that's being provided to the state. It's all just part of that conversation. So next steps, they still have 2 more listening sessions. We were the first one. And then once those are done, then they'll form the committee to work on it. So, which I did volunteer to be on.
Enrollment would be a good start. I mean, even though it might be a shortfall, I feel, because, you know, the one thing I think the public might be starting to understand is that you know, yeah, on this day when they decided to count, there was 100, but there's 200 enrolled, and in some days, they're all 200 are there, you know? You
Yep.
still have to
It's not
staff
the same
based
have to
on.
student,
be
it's not the same
available.
student missing every day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the same classroom, it's not the same
Right.
student, it's not the same building. We still
Right.
have to staff for the kids
Right.
that are here.
Well, and how about let's fully fund and then make supplemental levies actually supplemental and not necessary for operating?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They should be called operational, not supplemental, but that's a whole other
Yeah.
topic we can go down.
Because ultimately,
It
that's
is.
what we're looking at. To get out of this, we have to come up with an extra $2 million next year.
We certainly understand that we want to remain competitive, so it's a priority that we figure that out.
And on that note, it's 8:29, and I'll go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you. all
Thank
for
you, everybody.
coming.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just trying to find a break.
I'm not sitting in one.
We're done.
Okay, well, you had this right here.
I just don't want to be rude.
It's not rude,